Hey, this soup for breakfast is so bland. Why is it so watery? It's terrible. I'm trying to make it healthier. The doctor said I need to watch the salt. Who cares? I love rich flavors. This was my mother-in-law, or MIL for short. She always craves overly seasoned food, even though she's overweight and borderline diabetic. Her doctor gave her strict warnings, but she ignores them, dumping an unreasonable amount of salt and pepper into anything I cook. I watched, stunned, as she doctored the soup I carefully prepared with low-sodium ingredients. Apparently, nothing I make is ever good enough. Honestly, sometimes I wonder if she's trying to kill herself with all that extra seasoning. If she did, I wouldn't exactly be heartbroken. NIL seems to live for making my life difficult. Every day, it's constant complaints, insults, and spiteful behavior. I'm Alice, 29, a working woman who also juggles housewife duties. My husband and I have been married for 3 years, but we don't have any children yet. That's because of me, apparently. My infertility is her favorite weapon against me. You're worthless as a woman if you can't have children. Defective, really, she'd say with a smug smile. You should be grateful you're even allowed to stay in this house. Sometimes I agreed. After so many failed attempts at conceiving, I felt defective. I drew the short straw in life, it seemed. Haha, how could you say that? I replied once, but my heart wasn't in it. Because it's true. A woman who can't have kids is finished, she snapped. She's right, my husband chimed in, laughing. Defective. That word crushed me. I want a baby more than anything. I've been visiting doctors, trying different treatments, but it's draining both physically and emotionally. The costs are overwhelming too, and after so much failure, I decided to stop the treatments altogether. Ironically, my husband used to complain about the money we were spending on fertility treatments, calling it a waste, yet he never stopped pressuring me to get pregnant. What's the point of pressuring me? I said sharply. I can't get pregnant if it's not happening. After stopping the treatments, I had briefly entertained the idea of living happily with just the two of us. But my mother-in-law hadn't given up her obsession with a grandchild. To taunt me, she even bought diapers and paraded them around. Look, I bought diapers, she announced with a smirk. Excuse me? You'll need them eventually, she said with a grin. Aren't those a bit small for you to wear, MIL? I replied dryly. Ha! These are for a baby, can't you see that? Well, I wouldn't know. I'm just the defective woman who can't have children, remember? Her laughter cut through the tension, but her expression shifted quickly. That's enough, she snapped, storming off to her room, visibly angry. I sighed in relief. Exhausted from work, I had no patience for her snide remarks anymore. She seemed to have nothing better to do than make my life miserable. We had moved in with my in-laws after my father-in-law passed away last year. My mother-in-law was devastated by his death, and around the same time, she had been diagnosed with borderline diabetes. My husband insisted we move in to support her, though honestly she seemed fine as long as she took her meds and followed a healthy diet. The problem was, she did neither. She ignored her medication and ate whatever she wanted, making her condition likely to get worse. Still, I had no intention of being her caregiver. In my 20s, working a demanding job and taking care of my in-laws was not the life I envisioned. The next day, my day off, I was busy with house chores when MIL, who usually lounged on the sofa eating snacks, suddenly got up and walked into my room. Annoyed but with my hands full, I let it go. I cleaned your room for you, she said with a smug smile. Oh, thanks, I replied, sensing something off. You know, if you leave your room messy, you'll attract bugs. Maybe I should switch rooms with your husband, she added, her tone dripping with mock concern. Ha, right. Thanks for the advice, I muttered, forcing a smile. She seemed to think I was grateful, which only made me more suspicious. Something was definitely up. That night, I decided to sleep in my husband's room instead of mine. He had been away on a business trip since the day before, and I knew he wouldn't mind if I took over his space. We usually slept in separate rooms, partly because our relationship had cooled off, but mostly due to my night shifts as a nurse. I didn't want to disturb him with my irregular hours. Once MIL had retreated to her room, I quietly made my way to my husband's room and settled in. For 2 days, I slept there, and MIL seemed oddly suspicious. She watched me closely, probably because I looked too cheerful for her liking. My mother-in-law started asking strange questions. "Don't you feel any pain or anything?" she asked, a little too casually. "Huh? What do you mean?" "Oh, never mind," she said, avoiding eye contact. Was she suspecting something? Her sudden shift in behavior had me on edge, but I had the night shift coming up and needed to relax before work. That's easier said than done with Nil around. She never lifts a finger, just lounges on the couch, snacking and reading Japanese comics aimed at women. I caught a glimpse of one of the covers. It was a sloppily translated English version titled Epic Mother and Daughter-in-Law Swamp Battle. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at her choice of reading material. It seemed fitting for her. She was probably plotting her next move to make me, the bratty daughter-in-law, miserable. Later that night, my husband returned from his business trip, already looking exhausted. It was nearly 10 p.m. I'm wiped. I'm hopping in the bath. Sure, I'll heat it up for you. Grab a beer while you wait. Thanks, I will. Actually, wait. It's not safe to drink alcohol before a bath. Fine, I'll go for a non-alcoholic beer then, he said, a little annoyed. Reluctantly, he grabbed the non-alcoholic beer because I had warned him about the risks of mixing alcohol with a hot bath. You'd think he'd know better. Even saunas post signs about not drinking before entering, but common sense isn't something that comes naturally to him or my mother-in-law, for that matter. After his bath, my husband started singing, loudly. We live in a single-family home, but still, at that hour, it was bound to annoy the neighbors. La 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 la, he sang at the top of his lungs. Hey, you're too loud. Quiet down. I warned him. You're the one who's loud, he shot back, clearly not planning to stop. My mother-in-law, of course, took this opportunity to chime in, strolling into the bathroom area like she had something important to add. Watkins just trying to have a good time. What's the problem? You really don't know how to treat your husband, do you? Always complaining, always nagging. I bit my tongue, resisting the urge to argue back. It was always the same routine, or acting like the perfect, loving mother-in-law while constantly undermining me. So inconsiderate and full of complaints, my mother-in-law muttered. Hey, I'm not the one constantly complaining, M.I.L., I shot back. Ha, back talk, huh? You're definitely not cute. Not that you were ever a beauty to begin with. That's fine by me. I'm probably a knockout in some other country, I quipped with a shrug. She laughed, but I could tell she didn't appreciate my comeback. Meanwhile, my husband stepped out of the bath and grabbed a drink. It was already 10:30 p.m., and I needed to head to the hospital for my night shift. Oh, by the way, I've been sleeping in your room. Would you mind switching with me tonight? My clothes are everywhere. Ah, sure, whatever, he replied, not really paying attention. All right, I'm off then. Take care, I whispered to him quietly, hoping MIL wouldn't hear. Just as I was about to grab my bag and leave, I heard my husband let out a loud groan. What? What happened? I turned around to see him curled up on the floor, clutching his leg in pain. He looked like he was in agony. MIL's face went pale, and she started panicking. What's going on? Speak. But no matter what I asked, he couldn't respond. I was about to rush over when I noticed something odd. The floor was unusually slippery. Even with socks on, I could barely keep my balance. What the heck is this? I muttered, trying not to slip myself. Watkin? MIL, what on earth did you do? I didn't do anything. It's not my fault, she stammered, her voice shaky. Blaming her wasn't going to solve anything, so I immediately called for an ambulance. My husband was rushed to the hospital. Work was the last thing on my mind at that moment. He kept clutching his leg even after we arrived at the hospital. His face slick with sweat and pain etched all over it. It was clear he was in serious trouble. Ow, it hurts so bad, he groaned. Hang in there, Watkin. Help is coming, I said, trying to stay calm. Thankfully, the doctor examined him quickly, and I could see some relief wash over my husband. As we suspected, his leg was indeed broken, a fifth metatarsal fracture, caused by twisting his ankle when he slipped on the slick floor. His foot was swollen, and everything made sense. People usually fracture that bone by tripping or putting too much weight on it, which is exactly what happened to him. I knew the pain all too well. A few years ago, I twisted my ankle falling down the stairs while lost in my music. I heard a loud snap, and the pain was unbearable. It turned out to be a fifth metatarsal fracture as well. It was so embarrassing that I even lied to my friends about how it happened. Since his injury didn't require hospitalization, my husband was allowed to come home. I was scheduled for the night shift at the hospital, but my nursing supervisor insisted I take the night off. It wasn't a life or death situation, but I guess she was genuinely concerned. I survived, but now I've got a fever, Watkins said, wincing. Well, you broke your leg. Of course you'd have a fever, I replied, trying to comfort him. But the question that lingered in my mind was, why had the floor been so slippery in the first place? Why don't we ask Mil about that, huh? I said, anger bubbling up inside me. My husband turned to her. Hey, what did you do to the floor in that room? Well, she stammered, trying to avoid eye contact. The floor was all slippery. That's why I slipped and fell. I could have seriously broken my leg. That room is for my daughter-in-law, so I greased the floor. What? My husband's eyes widened in shock. I was hoping she would slip, so I put a lot of grease down. I never expected you to go in there and fall, she said, her tone casual, as if she hadn't just admitted to endangering my life. Unbelievable. My mother-in-law had deliberately greased the floor to make me fall. She had claimed to clean the room, but her real intention was to harm me. Rage surged through me. If I had walked into that room, I might have broken my leg, or worse, hit my head, which could have been fatal. What she did wasn't just reckless, it was criminal. You're despicable, my husband seethed. You're not family to me anymore. I got seriously hurt because of you. I'm going to the police, he declared, grabbing his phone. Wait, I didn't directly hurt anyone, did I? She protested, panic creeping into her voice. It's not my fault. Your wife told you to go into her room, so she's the one to blame. Shut up, he snapped. That's not the point. You're getting arrested. Mil lunged to snatch the phone from him, but even with his broken leg, my husband was stronger. He clutched his phone tightly, already speaking to the police. As I stood there, watching this nightmare unfold, I couldn't help but think I'd rather be at work. Dealing with patients, no matter how stressful, was better than dealing with this chaos. The neighbors would catch wind of this soon enough. And honestly, maybe they should. What she'd done wasn't just a personal vendetta, it was dangerous. You know, I said, turning to Mil. I could have been hurt too. Maybe I should also talk to the police. What? No, I didn't mean to hurt you. You don't know for sure I'd be charged with anything. You knew the risks, I said, my voice cold. Or did you think you could just erase me from this world without consequences? Well, I did think it would be better if you just disappeared, she muttered. My blood ran cold. You're the worst. Your mindset is criminal. Personally, I think you should stay in jail forever. My husband, still on the phone, looked at me with a mix of shock and exhaustion. Let's get a divorce. What? Mil gasped. I can't do this anymore, he said, shaking his head. If I stay in this house, she might actually succeed in getting rid of you one day. I'm too scared to live with that. And honestly, your lack of morals disgusts me. Wait, don't say we'll get divorced over this. My husband fixed his gaze on her. This, you've insulted my wife, called her defective. Do you even realize how much that hurts? I can live without you just fine. No, I need you, my mother-in-law cried, her voice desperate. I was counting on your income. I even just signed a new car contract. What? I turned to her, stunned. I finally got the Toyota Century I've always wanted, straight from Japan, she said, her voice shaking. I don't care anymore, I replied coldly. I cleaned up the greasy floor, threw my things into a bag, and stuffed more into my carry-on. I took off my wedding ring and placed it on the table. As I rummaged through a shelf of dishes, I thought about the divorce papers. Then I found them, the very papers my husband had written years ago. Remember this? I held up the divorce papers. You said if I couldn't have a child within 2 years, we get a divorce. Well, here we are. I can't have children, so let's end this. You must feel relieved now. Wait, what about the loan for my Century? He stammered. Who cares? I said, walking out the door. I headed straight to the hospital. When I arrived, the charge nurse didn't ask questions. She could tell something was up. Being a nurse, I knew I could support myself without needing a husband or a toxic family. I wondered why I had endured so much, being treated like a servant and putting up with their cruelty. The more I thought about it, the more ridiculous it all seemed. The next morning, I filed for divorce. He became my ex-husband that day. Given the emotional toll he and his family put me through, I consulted a lawyer to seek compensation. In the end, my ex-husband was ordered to pay me. A part of me thought, serves you right. Since the police got involved, the neighbors turned their backs on my mother-in-law. She couldn't keep quiet and told everyone how her son broke his leg. And now they all think she's a terrible parent. My ex-husband doesn't want anything to do with her anymore and even kicked her out. She's been living on a small survivor's benefit, complaining that it's impossible to make ends meet. Her once lavish lifestyle has turned into a struggle just to get by. As for my ex-husband, I don't care what happens to him. He made a foolish decision, buying a car without thinking it through. I'm sure he can't afford it now, especially since he always assumed I'd be there to help with the bills. His lack of foresight annoyed me, but it's no longer my problem. Later, I started dating a doctor at the hospital. 2 years after that, we got married, and to my amazement, we were blessed with a child. It felt like a miracle, especially after everything I've been through. From now on, I'm dedicated to my new family, focused on building a future full of love and happiness.
The phone buzzed against my thigh, a message from Ben. I almost ignored it, focused on folding Charlie's superhero shirts into neat squares, but something made me look. Maybe it was the late hour, or the fact that Ben was supposedly in a meeting. Can't wait to taste you again. Last night was incredible. Delete this. My hands went numb. The message blinked at me, cruel and clear on the screen. The contact name above it read, Laura M. Ben had sent it to me by mistake. Laura, our next-door neighbor, the woman who borrowed cups of sugar and watched Charlie when I had dental appointments. I sat down hard on Charlie's bed, his Batman comforter crinkling under my weight. The laundry basket toppled, spilling clean clothes across the floor. My mind raced through 1,000 tiny moments, the lingering conversations over the fence, the way they laughed too long at each other's jokes at neighborhood barbecues, the late meetings that had become more frequent. Mom? Charlie's voice came from the doorway. Are you okay? I looked up at my 10-year-old son, his face pinched with concern. He was so much like his father. Same dark eyes, same worried furrow between his brows. The similarity made my stomach turn. Just tired, honey. Why aren't you doing your homework? I finished. Dad's home early. He's in the kitchen. The phone felt like it was burning through my pocket. I stood up, smoothing my hands down my jeans. Go play your video game for a bit. I need to talk to Dad. Ben was at the counter, loosening his tie, scrolling through his phone with a slight frown. He looked up when I entered, flashing that smile that had made me fall in love with him 15 years ago. Hey, babe. Meeting ended early. I can see that. My voice came out steadier than I expected. Your phone working okay? Yeah. Why? I pulled out my phone and held it up, screen facing him. Because you sent this to the wrong person. The color drained from his face so quickly I thought he might faint. Then it rushed back in an angry flush. Maggie, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why you're sleeping with our neighbor? Why you're betraying not just me, but Daniel too? Their kids play with Charlie, for God's sake. He stepped toward me, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. Lower your voice. Charlie will hear. That's what you're worried about? Charlie hearing? Not the fact that you've destroyed our family? Don't be dramatic. It's not. If you say it's not what I think, I swear to God, Ben. My fingers curled into fists. How long? He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture I used to find endearing. A few months. It just happened. We never meant. A few months, I repeated. The words tasted like ash. Through the window, I could see Laura's house, her perfectly maintained garden, the swing set where our children played together. Get out! What? Get out of this house, now, before I do something we'll both regret. This is my house, too. You can't just watch me. I pulled out my phone again. Should I forward this message to Daniel? To the whole neighborhood? To your boss? His face hardened. You wouldn't dare. Try me. The Ben I thought I knew wouldn't dare sleep with our neighbor either. So clearly I don't know what either of us is capable of anymore. We stood there, the granite counter between us like a battle line. From upstairs came the muffled sounds of Charlie's video game, the cheerful music a jarring contrast to the moment. Finally, Ben grabbed his keys. We need to talk about this rationally. When you've calmed down, get Out! He left, the door clicking shut behind him with surprising gentleness. I waited until I heard his car start before I let myself shake. Let the tears come. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Ben. Probably more excuses. More lies. I deleted it without reading it. Then I opened my contacts and scrolled to Emily's name. My finger hovered over the call button as I stared out the window at Laura's house, where a light had just come on upstairs. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Emily arrived with 2 bottles of wine and a fierce expression that said she was ready for war. We sat in my kitchen, the house eerily quiet without Charlie, who was at his first sleepover since everything happened. He's trying to get back in? Emily poured generously into both glasses. Every day. I took a long sip. He left another message this morning about working things out for Charlie's sake. As if destroying our family was somehow in Charlie's best interest. Classic manipulation! Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then set it face down. How's Charlie handling it? He's quiet. Too quiet. Yesterday he asked if we could still go to the Mitchells' pool party next weekend. The wine turned bitter in my mouth. Can you imagine? Standing there watching Laura parade around in her designer swimsuit, pretending she hasn't been sleeping with my husband? Don't go. Send Charlie with me and Kevin. Before I could respond, movement caught my eye through the window. Daniel Mitchell was in his driveway, loading boxes into his car. Even from here, I could see the tension in his shoulders, the mechanical way he moved. He knows, I said suddenly. Daniel knows, or at least suspects. Emily followed my gaze. How can you tell? Because that's exactly how I looked 3 days ago before the text. Like I was sleepwalking through a nightmare I couldn't quite remember. A knock at the door made us both jump. Ben stood there, and my heart did that terrible lurch it always did now. Part love, part hatred, part crushing disappointment. I need to get some things, he said when I opened the door. Won't take long. Fine. I stepped aside, letting him pass. Emily's presence seemed to throw him off balance. He headed upstairs while Emily and I watched in silence. A few minutes later, he came down with a duffel bag. Where are you staying? I asked, hating that I cared enough to ask. The Marriott downtown. He hesitated. Charlie's at Tommy's? Yes. Good. That's good. He shifted the bag on his shoulder. Maggie, can we talk? Privately? Anything you need to say, you can say in front of Emily. His jaw tightened. This isn't helping anyone. We need to discuss this rationally, like adults. Think about Charlie. Don't! My voice cracked. Don't you dare use our son to justify what you did. I'm not justifying anything. But this Cold War isn't sustainable. Laura and I... Get out! Emily stood up, her voice low and dangerous. Now! He left, the door closing with that same infuriating gentleness. Through the window, I watched him walk to his car. As he pulled away, Daniel Mitchell appeared at the end of his driveway, staring after Ben's car with an expression I recognized all too well. I need to talk to him, I said. Daniel, are you sure that's wise? He deserves to know. And maybe... I trailed off, watching Daniel return to his boxes. Maybe we can help each other. Be careful, Emily warned. Revenge might feel good, but it can consume you. This isn't about revenge. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't entirely true. It's about justice, about consequences. Later that night, after Emily left, I sat in Charlie's room, folding the last of his laundry. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I know about Ben and Laura. We should talk. Daniel. I stared at the message for a long time, thinking about consequences and justice and the thin line between the two. Through the window, I could see Laura's silhouette moving behind their bedroom curtains, probably getting ready for bed, probably thinking she was safe in her perfect little world. I typed back, tomorrow, coffee shop on Main, 10 a.m. The response came immediately. I'll be there. I put the phone down and picked up Charlie's favorite stuffed dinosaur, the one he'd had since he was 3. Everything I did now would affect him, would shape his understanding of love and trust and family. But so would letting Ben and Laura's betrayal go unpunished. The dinosaur stared back at me with its worn button eyes, offering no answers. But I already knew what I had to do. Daniel's laptop screen cast a blue glow across his face as he pulled up the bank statements. We sat in his home office, the house empty while Laura took their kids to soccer practice. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here we were, 2 betrayed spouses, hunched over financial records like detectives. There, he pointed to a series of transactions. Every month for the past 6 months, Laura's been transferring $5,000 to an account I've never seen before. My throat tightened. Ben's been doing the same from our joint account. I thought it was for Charlie's college fund. They're planning something. Daniel's voice was flat, controlled. These transfers started right around the time the affair began, I finished. The pieces were falling into place like a twisted puzzle. But why so much money? Before Daniel could answer, his phone buzzed. Laura's face flashed on the screen. He declined the call, his hand trembling slightly. She's been asking about the investment account, he said. Wanting to make another transfer. I've been stalling. I leaned closer to the screen, scanning the numbers. Wait, look at these dates. The transfers always happen right after Ben's business trips. Laura's spa weekends, too. Daniel pulled up another window, which apparently weren't at any spa I can find charges for. My stomach lurched. They were meeting up, using our money to fund their little getaways. A car door slammed outside. We both froze. Through the window, I saw Ben's Mercedes pulling into my driveway next door. He got out, carrying a gift bag with bright tissue paper sprouting from the top. Charlie's birthday present, I said bitterly. He thinks he can buy forgiveness with overpriced video games. Daniel was still staring at the screen. There's something else, an email chain I recovered from Laura's deleted folder. They've been looking at houses. Houses? In Colorado, where Ben's company is opening that new office. The room seemed to tilt. I gripped the edge of the desk, my knuckles white. They're planning to leave, together. With our money. Daniel's voice cracked. And probably try for custody of the kids. A notification popped up on the laptop. An email from Laura to Ben sent an hour ago. Everything's set for next month. Dee doesn't suspect anything. Can't wait to start our new life. Love you. The casual cruelty of it, the complete disregard for the lives they were destroying, hit me like a physical blow. I stood up so quickly my chair toppled backward. I need Ben's laptop, I said. He always leaves it in his home office when he visits Charlie. Daniel looked up sharply. What are you thinking? That it's time to stop being victims. I moved toward the door. Cover for me if Laura comes back. I slipped out of Daniel's house and into mine through the back door. Sure enough, I could hear Ben and Charlie upstairs, probably setting up whatever new game he'd bought. The sound of their laughter felt like glass in my chest. Ben's laptop was exactly where I knew it would be, charging on his desk. I'd watched him type his password countless times over the years. Charlie's birthday, plus the year we met. Sentimental, for a man planning to abandon his family. The folder wasn't hard to find. Ben had always been overconfident, never believing anyone would dare to look. Photos, emails, bank statements, real estate listings, everything Daniel and I needed to prove the depth of their betrayal. I heard footsteps on the stairs and quickly sent everything to my email, then closed the laptop. When Ben appeared in the doorway, I was standing at the window, watching Laura's car pull into her driveway. "What are you doing in here?" he asked, suspicion creeping into his voice. I turned to face him, surprising myself with how steady my voice was. "Just remembering who you used to be, the man I thought you were." His face softened, that manipulative, practiced softness I now saw through completely. "Maggie, I know things are difficult right now, but Charlie loved his present," I cut him off. "Thank you for that, at least." I walked past him, our shoulders barely brushing. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with the confirmation that all the files had been received. Game on. The evidence sat in my inbox like a loaded gun. Every time I opened my laptop, I felt its weight, its potential for destruction. But something held me back from pulling the trigger. Charlie's voice drifted up from the backyard where he was playing with Laura's kids. The sound stopped me cold. Their laughter, their innocent games, their world still whole and unshattered. My phone buzzed. "Daniel, Laura's asking about the investment account again? Getting suspicious? We need to move soon." I watched through the window as Charlie showed Laura's youngest how to catch a baseball. The sight of them together made my chest ache. One revelation, and all of this would end, not just for Ben and Laura, but for their children too. The doorbell rang. Emily stood there with a determined look and a manila envelope. "You need to see this," she said, pushing past me into the kitchen. "Kevin handled Ben and Laura's mortgage refinance last month. He shouldn't show me client documents, but..." She spread papers across the counter. "Look at the beneficiary information." My hands trembled as I read. They've already bought the house in Colorado, in both their names. There's more. Emily pointed to a paragraph near the bottom. They used Charlie's college fund as part of the down payment. The room spun. I gripped the counter, my knuckles white. That money was for his future. Maggie! Emily's voice softened. You have enough to destroy them both. Why are you waiting? Before I could answer, Charlie burst through the back door, face flushed with excitement. Mom, can Jake and Sarah come over tomorrow? Their mom said it's okay if you say yes. I looked at my son, really looked at him. He was smiling, but there was something careful in his eyes, like he was watching for cracks in my expression. We'll see, honey. Why don't you go get cleaned up for dinner? After he left, Emily gathered the papers. You can't protect him forever. The truth will come out eventually. I know. I sank into a chair. But what if my revenge hurts him more than their betrayal? The front door opened. Ben, using his key like he still had the right. He stopped short when he saw Emily. I need to talk to Maggie, he said. Alone. Emily squeezed my shoulder before leaving. Ben took her seat, looking more disheveled than usual. The transfer to Colorado is happening sooner than expected. Next week. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I want Charlie to come with me. The calm in my voice surprised me. You want to take our son away from his school, his friends, his home? He'll adjust. Kids are resilient. Like he'll adjust to you living with Laura? To watching you destroy two families? His head snapped up. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone, opened the folder of evidence. Should we start with the house you bought together? Or the money you stole from Charlie's future? The color drained from his face. You had no right to protect my son? To expose your lies? I stood up, my shadow falling across him. You want a war, Ben? Because I have the nuclear option right here. Think about what you're doing, he said, but his voice shook. Think about Charlie. I am thinking about Charlie. I'm thinking about the day he'll learn what kind of man his father really is. I moved toward the door. You have 24 hours to tell Laura it's over and transfer the college fund back. Or everyone sees everything. You're bluffing. I opened the door. Try me. After he left, I called Daniel. We need to meet tonight. I'm ready, he said. Whatever it takes. I ended the call and walked upstairs to Charlie's room. He was sitting on his bed, clutching his dinosaur, and I knew he'd heard everything. Mom? His voice was small. Are we going to Colorado? I sat beside him, pulling him close. No, honey, we're staying right here, and I promise you, everything's going to be okay. It wasn't exactly a lie. Things would be okay, just not in the way anyone expected. Not even me. The annual neighborhood block party loomed ahead like an execution date. I sat in Daniel's garage, surrounded by strings of party lights we were testing, each bulb casting shadows that danced like accusations across the walls. Ben hasn't transferred the money back, I said, untangling another strand. And Laura's still planning to host the party. Daniel's laugh was hollow. Of course she is. Can't let anyone suspect her perfect life is falling apart. He checked his phone. The company announcement about the Colorado office goes out Monday. A light bulb shattered in my hand. I barely felt the sting. We can't wait any longer, Daniel said, watching me brush glass from my palm. They're going to take everything if we don't move first. The garage door opened, and Laura walked in, wearing her signature perfect smile. There you are, Daniel. Margaret, I didn't expect to see you here. Just helping with party prep. I held up the lights, letting her see the blood on my hand. Her smile flickered. How neighborly. Though I was hoping to discuss the party details with Daniel privately. No secrets between neighbors, right? The words tasted like poison. Laura's phone chimed. She glanced at it, and for a split second her mask slipped. Fear flashed across her face. Everything okay? Daniel asked, his voice carefully neutral. Fine, just work. She backed toward the door. I need to make some calls. After she left, Daniel showed me his laptop screen. A program was running, tracking Laura's phone activity. That message was from Ben. They're getting nervous. Good. I pulled up the event details on my phone. The block party's always the same. Laura makes her speech thanking everyone for being such wonderful neighbors. This year she'll have a different kind of audience participation. You're sure about this? Once we start... They're planning to announce their relationship at the office on Monday, I cut in. Present it as a fresh start. Two people who found love and handled things responsibly. They'll paint us as the bitter exes who couldn't let go. A car door slammed next door. Through the window, I saw Ben entering our house. My house. Probably for another attempt at manipulating Charlie. Did you see the latest transfer? Daniel pulled up the bank records. They're moving more money, faster now. My phone buzzed with a text from Charlie. Dad says we're having a family meeting tonight. Do I have to go? Another message followed from Ben. We need to discuss Charlie's future, all of us. Bring Laura's mortgage paperwork if you want to talk about that too. The threat was clear. They were done waiting. The party's tomorrow, I said, standing up. Time to give them the audience they deserve. I walked home, each step feeling heavier than the last. Through the kitchen window, I could see Ben sitting with Charlie at the dinner table, probably spinning more lies about our happy future in Colorado. Emily's words echoed in my head. You can't protect him forever. My phone buzzed again, Daniel sending the final piece of evidence we'd uncovered. An email chain between Ben and Laura discussing how to handle the unfortunate necessity of separating their children from their unstable parents. They weren't just planning to take our money and our dignity. They were going to take our children. I opened the door, watching Ben's face shift from fatherly concern to calculated wariness. Charlie looked between us, clutching his dinosaur like a shield. Perfect timing, Ben said. We were just discussing, Charlie, go upstairs, please. But Dad said, now, honey. After Charlie left, Ben's smile turned cold. You're only making this harder on everyone. I pulled out my phone, showing him the email chain. Unstable parents? You're proving my point right now. He stood up, towering over me. Think carefully about your next move, Maggie. Some bells can't be unrung. I met his gaze, feeling oddly calm. Funny, I was about to say the same thing to you. Tomorrow, at the block party, everyone would know exactly who Ben and Laura really were. The thought should have brought satisfaction, but all I felt was a deep, hollow certainty. There would be no winners here, only survivors. The block party hummed with forced cheerfulness, strings of lights casting shadows across fake smiles and whispered conversations. I stood near the dessert table, watching Laura work the crowd like a politician, Ben hovering nearby with his practiced charm. Charlie tugged at my sleeve. Mom, can I go play with Jake and Sarah? Stay where I can see you. My voice sounded distant, even to myself. Emily appeared at my elbow, gripping a wine glass too tightly. Daniel's ready? Are you sure about this? Before I could answer, Laura clinked her glass, gathering everyone's attention. Thank you all for coming to our annual neighborhood celebration. I felt the USB drive in my pocket like a burning coal. Daniel stood by the makeshift stage, laptop ready, waiting for my signal. Our community is built on trust, friendship, and family values, Laura continued, her perfect smile never wavering. Now, I whispered into my phone. The projector screen behind Laura flickered to life. Her voice faltered as emails, bank statements, and photos began scrolling across it. The crowd's murmur shifted from confusion to shock. What is this? Laura's voice cracked. The truth. I stepped forward, my heart pounding. About the affair, about the stolen money, about your plans to take our children to Colorado. Ben moved toward the laptop, but Daniel blocked his path. Don't, Daniel said quietly. It's already been sent to everyone's phones. The crowd parted as I walked toward them, phones buzzing with notifications. Laura's mask cracked, revealing raw panic beneath. You're making a scene, Ben hissed. Think about Charlie. I am thinking about Charlie. I turned to face our neighbors. They've been stealing from our children's futures to fund their affair. The proof is in your inboxes. Laura laughed, high and brittle. This is ridiculous. Daniel, tell them. Tell them what? Daniel's voice was ice. About the house you bought? The money you've been moving? The whispers grew louder. I saw recognition dawn on faces as they read their phones, followed by disgust, judgment, shock. Then Charlie's voice cut through the chaos. Dad? He stood at the edge of the crowd, clutching his dinosaur, staring at the screen where a particularly intimate email was displayed. Charlie, wait! Ben reached for him, but Charlie backed away. You said we were moving for your job. Charlie's voice trembled. You said Mom was being difficult. You lied. The moment fractured. Charlie turned and ran. Ben moved to follow, but I blocked his path. Haven't you done enough? Laura grabbed my arm. You've ruined everything. No, I said, shaking her off. You did that yourselves. But as I turned to follow Charlie, Ben's voice stopped me cold. I've already filed for emergency custody, claiming emotional instability. This little stunt proves my point. The ground seemed to tilt beneath my feet. Through the crowd's shocked murmurs, I heard Laura add, "We have character witnesses, documentation, your obsession with revenge, your erratic behavior." Emily stepped forward. "You manipulative." "Save it," Ben cut her off. "The hearing's Monday. Should be interesting. Explaining to a judge how you stalked and harassed us, invaded our privacy, turned our children against us." I looked around at the faces of our neighbors, some sympathetic, others uncertain, a few already turning away. What had seemed like justice now felt like a noose tightening around my neck. "You won't win," I said, but my voice shook. Ben's smile was almost pitying. "I already have. Come on, Laura." They left together, heads high, leaving me standing in the wreckage of my plan. Daniel touched my shoulder, but I barely felt it. "Mom?" Charlie's voice came from behind me, small and lost. "Are they really taking me away?" I turned to face my son, seeing the fear in his eyes, and realized with crushing clarity what I'd done. In my quest for justice, I'd given them exactly what they needed to destroy me. The party lights flickered overhead, casting alternating light and shadow across the scattered remains of my revenge, while somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled, a warning too late to heed. The courthouse hallway stretched before me like a gauntlet. Ben and Laura stood at the far end, heads bent together in conversation. Emily squeezed my hand before taking her seat on the witness bench. "Ready?" Daniel appeared beside me, holding a manila envelope. I nodded, watching Charlie through the window as he sat in the waiting area with Emily's husband, Kevin. My son hadn't spoken much since the block party, but his silence said everything. "Mrs. Davis?" My lawyer approached, frowning at her phone. "There's been a development. Laura Mitchell wants to speak with you, alone." Ben's head snapped up at Laura's approach, his face darkening. "Laura, don't—" "Enough, Ben!" Her perfect mask had cracked, revealing something raw underneath. She gestured to an empty conference room. Inside, Laura paced like a caged animal. "I'm pregnant." The words hit like a physical blow. "Is it Ben's?" "Yes," she laughed, brittle and sharp. "Found out yesterday. Convenient timing, right? Another weapon for the custody hearing." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I saw Charlie's face at the party." She stopped pacing. "I saw what we did to him. What we're still doing." Before I could respond, the door opened. Ben stood there, fury radiating off him in waves. "Whatever you're thinking, don't," he warned Laura. "I found something else yesterday, too." Laura pulled out her phone, hands shaking. "While packing for Colorado. Tell her about the offshore accounts, Ben. The ones you've been moving company money into." The color drained from Ben's face. "You're lying." "Am I?" She turned to me. "He's been embezzling for years. The house, the affair, it was all funded with stolen money. I have proof." "Shut up!" Ben grabbed for the phone, but Daniel appeared in the doorway, blocking his exit. "The company's already investigating," Daniel said quietly. "Anonymous tip." Ben's facade crumbled. In that moment, I saw him clearly. Not the charming man I'd married, but a cornered animal, desperate and dangerous. "You really want to do this?" He turned to me. "Fine. Let's tell the judge everything. How you hacked my computer. How you and Daniel conspired. Tell them." Charlie's voice came from behind Daniel. He stood there, clutching his dinosaur, eyes bright with tears and determination. "I'll tell them too. About the lies. About Colorado. About everything." "Charlie, go back outside," Ben ordered. "No." Charlie stepped into the room. "I heard you and Laura talking last week. About the money. About making Mom look crazy so you could take me away." Laura pressed her phone into my hand. "Everything's here. The accounts, the transfers, the emails, planning it all. I'm done protecting him." "You'll lose everything," Ben hissed at her. "I already have." She rested a hand on her stomach. "But I won't let you destroy anyone else." The bailiff appeared in the doorway. "Judge is ready." I looked at the phone in my hand, then at Charlie's determined face, and finally at Ben, the man who'd thought he could take everything from me. "The hearing's canceled," I said. "We're going to the police instead, right now." "You can't." "Watch me." I turned to my lawyer. "Call the district attorney and the SEC." Ben lunged for the phone, but Daniel caught him. In the struggle, Charlie's dinosaur fell, splitting open along a seam. Papers spilled out, documents Charlie had been secretly collecting, overheard conversations he'd written down, dates and times of suspicious calls. My son had been building his own case all along. Ben sagged in Daniel's grip, seeing the evidence of his son's quiet rebellion. Laura was already talking to the bailiff, confessing everything. I knelt beside Charlie, gathering his scattered notes. "Why didn't you tell me?" "You were protecting me," he said simply. "I wanted to protect you, too." Outside the conference room, I heard the growing commotion as police arrived. Ben's carefully constructed world was crumbling, but Charlie's hand was warm in mine, anchoring me to what really mattered. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about protecting what they never truly valued in the first place. The moving boxes made our living room look smaller. Charlie sat cross-legged on the floor, carefully wrapping his dinosaur collection in newspaper. Through the window, I could see Daniel loading his own moving truck, heading for a fresh start on the other side of town. "Found something," Charlie said, pulling a crumpled paper from inside his favorite T-Rex. Another one of his secret notes, dated from before everything fell apart. I sat beside him, smoothing out the page. His childish handwriting documented a conversation between Ben and Laura about their Colorado dreams, followed by a simple question. "Why isn't Mom enough?" "I don't need this anymore," Charlie said, balling up the paper. "We're okay now, right?" The newspaper headline on the coffee table caught my eye. "Tech executive faces embezzlement charges." Ben's corporate headshot stared back at me, his practiced smile now seeming hollow. "We're more than okay," I said, helping Charlie wrap another dinosaur. "We're free." The doorbell rang. Laura stood there looking different, softer somehow, her perfect facade replaced by something more human. Her pregnancy was starting to show. "The company's releasing the recovered funds," she said, holding out an envelope. "Your portion of what Ben stole. Daniel has his too." I took the envelope without opening it. "How are you doing?" "Taking it day by day." She touched her stomach. "The baby deserves better than a prison visiting room, but she'll know the truth when she's old enough. No more perfect lies." Charlie appeared in the doorway. "Is it a girl?" Laura nodded, tears threatening. "Would you like to be her honorary big brother? Help her understand things someday?" "Maybe," Charlie said, considering. "If Mom says it's okay." The simple trust in his voice made my throat tight. After everything, he still looked to me for guidance, for protection. "We'll see," I said. "One day at a time." After Laura left, I found Charlie in his room, placing his last dinosaur in a box. The empty house next door cast long shadows across his wall. "Mom?" He held out a sealed envelope. "I wrote this during the court stuff, when I was scared about everything." Inside was a letter, written in his careful school penmanship. "Dear Mom, I know you think you have to be strong all the time, but I saw you crying when you thought I was asleep. It's okay. You taught me that being strong means telling the truth, even when it hurts. You're the strongest person I know. Love, Charlie." "I didn't give it to you then," he said, "but I want you to have it now." I pulled him close, breathing in the familiar scent of his hair. Outside, a moving truck engine started, Daniel beginning his own journey toward healing. Emily's car pulled into our driveway, right where Ben's Mercedes used to park. She'd been helping us pack, preparing for our move to the smaller house across town. Not running away, just starting fresh. "Ready for pizza?" she called through the window. "Kevin's bringing Charlie's favorite," Charlie brightened. "Can we eat it picnic style, since all the furniture's packed?" "Perfect idea." As Charlie ran downstairs, I looked around his half-packed room. The dinosaur collection was safely boxed, but one remained on his windowsill. The T-Rex with the split seam, the one that had carried his secret evidence. He'd repaired it carefully, the stitches small and precise. Like the dinosaur, we weren't broken anymore. Changed, scarred maybe, but stronger where we'd been mended. I picked up another box, feeling its weight. Not just possessions, but memories. Lessons learned, truths finally spoken. Below, Charlie's laughter mixed with Emily's voice, the sound of our chosen family coming together. Some would call it karma, how everything turned out. But standing there, surrounded by the pieces of our new life waiting to be unpacked, I realized it was something simpler. It was justice, yes. But more than that, it was freedom. The freedom to be imperfect, to be honest, to be ourselves. And that was better than any revenge could ever be.
Gravel bites into my palms as I push myself up from the dirt road, the echo of screeching tires still hanging in the night air. My husband's laughter fades with his taillights, leaving me alone in a darkness so complete it feels like drowning. I'm Autumn, and 10 minutes ago I thought I was going on a romantic drive with my husband. The taste of blood mingles with dirt in my mouth. My designer dress, the one Marcus insisted I wear tonight, is torn at the shoulder, probably ruined. He'll be furious about that. The thought makes me laugh, a harsh sound that bounces off the trees surrounding this godforsaken stretch of road. "You're becoming a liability," he'd said, so casually you'd think he was commenting on the weather. Then the car door flew open and his hands were on me, and suddenly I was tumbling onto gravel and shadows. My phone is still in his car. Of course it is. Marcus always thinks of everything. I start walking, each step sending sharp pains through my scraped knees. The moon offers just enough light to keep me from stumbling into the ditch. Every car that passes makes my heart leap, then sink. None of them slow down. I don't blame them. Who stops for a disheveled woman on a dark road at midnight? "You've gotten too curious lately," he'd said over dinner, watching me with those calculating eyes I used to find so captivating. Always asking about the business, about Mother's involvement. It's becoming problematic. I should have seen it coming. The signs were there. Hushed conversations with his mother Helen, the missing financial documents, the way they'd exchange glances whenever I asked about the family business. But love makes you stupid. Or maybe I just wanted to be stupid, to believe the fairy tale of the charming businessman who swept me off my feet. A car approaches from behind, slowing as it nears. I tense, ready to run, but then I hear a familiar voice. "Autumn? Oh my God, what happened?" Sophie, my best friend. The one person Marcus couldn't manipulate me into abandoning. "He knows," I say as I climb into her car, "about the documents I found." Sophie's hands tighten on the steering wheel. "That son of a bitch. I told you he was dangerous." I thought I could handle it. I thought if I just played along long enough to gather evidence. Evidence of what? What did you find? I close my eyes, seeing again the numbers that didn't add up, the shell companies, Helen's signature on documents that shouldn't exist. Enough to destroy them both, if I can prove it. Sophie's quiet for a long moment. "You know this means war, right? Helen will never let you threaten their precious family empire." A strange calm settles over me, replacing the shock and fear. Good, because I'm done playing the perfect Carter wife. "What are you going to do?" I watch the familiar streets of our town slide past, thinking of all the times I smiled and nodded at charity galas while Marcus and Helen built their reputation on lies and other people's money. Thinking of how they slowly stripped away my independence, my career, my dignity. "I'm going to take everything from them," I say, surprised by the ice in my voice. Starting with their precious reputation. Sophie glances at me and I see a flash of concern in her eyes. "Autumn, revenge won't fix what they did to you." "No," I agree, touching the bruises forming on my arm. "But it's a start." As we pull up to Sophie's house, my phone starts ringing from Marcus's car across town. I imagine him realizing his mistake, scrambling to damage control. Let him worry. Let him wonder. The game has changed, and this time I'm writing the rules. 3 years ago, I sat across from Helen Carter at her mahogany dining table, watching her slice into a perfectly cooked steak while she explained why I needed to quit my job. "Marketing is such a demanding career," she'd said, dabbing her lips with a cloth napkin. "Marcus needs a wife who can support his ambitions, dear, not someone distracted by her own." I remember how my wine glass trembled in my hand that night. How Marcus squeezed my knee under the table, his fingers digging in just hard enough to warn me. "Stay quiet. Play nice. Keep the peace." Now I'm back at that same table, watching Sophie scroll through my bank statements on her tablet. The numbers tell a story Helen never wanted me to see. "They've been siphoning money from your accounts for months," Sophie says, her voice tight with anger. "Small amounts at first, then larger transfers after you gave Marcus power of attorney." I trace the wood grain of the table with my fingertip. "He said it was for investment opportunities, that we needed to pool our resources for the family's future." "The family's future?" Sophie scoffs. "More like funding Helen's shopping addiction and Marcus's mistress." The front door opens and Helen's voice carries from the foyer. "Autumn, are you home, dear?" I shoot Sophie a warning look. She quickly closes the tablet and slides it into her bag. Helen appears in the doorway, designer shopping bags hanging from her arms. Her smile freezes when she sees Sophie. "Oh, I didn't realize we had company. Just catching up with an old friend," I say, standing to help with her bags. My hands shake slightly, but I force them steady. "How lovely." Helen's tone suggests it's anything but. "Though I do wish you'd mentioned having guests. I would have brought something suitable for lunch." "No need," Sophie says, rising. "I was just leaving." She hugs me, whispering, "Call me later," before heading out. Helen watches her go, then turns to me with that practiced, concerned mother expression. "Darling, I worry about you spending time with Sophie. She's rather bitter since her divorce. Not the best influence. She's my friend. Friends can be dangerous when they're envious of what you have." Helen begins unpacking her shopping bags, revealing expensive silk blouses. "Speaking of which, Marcus mentioned you've been asking questions about the business again." My heart races, but I keep my voice steady. "Just trying to understand our investments better." "Oh, sweetheart." Helen laughs softly. "You don't need to worry your pretty head about all that. Marcus and I have everything under control." She pulls out a cream-colored blouse, holding it up. "I bought this for you. Isn't it divine? Perfect for the charity gala next week." I take the blouse, feeling the silk between my fingers. Another pretty cage, another distraction. "Thank you," I say, the words tasting like ash. "It's beautiful." "Try it on," Helen insists, her eyes sharp despite her smile. I want to make sure it fits properly. I head to the powder room, closing the door behind me. In the mirror, I see the bruises from last night starting to purple along my shoulder. The silk will cover them perfectly. Of course it will. Helen always thinks of everything. My phone buzzes. A text from Marcus. "Mother says Sophie was there. We talked about this." Another buzz. "Don't make me handle this like last night." I stare at the messages, remembering the cold calculation in his voice before he pushed me from the car. The way Helen will pretend not to notice my injuries at dinner tonight, just like she always does. The silk blouse feels like a noose around my neck. My phone buzzes again. Sophie this time. "Documents are copied. Ready when you are." I look in the mirror one last time, straightening my shoulders. Helen's voice calls from the dining room, asking if everything fits all right. "Perfect." I call back, my voice honey-sweet. "It fits perfectly." Let them think they've won. Let them believe their pretty silk chains still hold me. Soon they'll learn what happens when you cage something too long, when you push someone past their breaking point. Soon they'll learn that some wounds don't heal. They harden into armor. The safe clicks open with Marcus's birthday. He always was predictably narcissistic. Inside, beneath insurance papers and property deeds, I find a manila envelope that makes my fingers go numb. Withdrawal slips, bank statements, forged signatures, my signatures. The numbers swim before my eyes as I flip through page after page. Not just my savings anymore, but my inheritance from Dad. Everything I'd kept separate. Everything I'd tried to protect. All of it funneled into accounts I've never seen. My hands shake as I take photos with my phone. The house feels too quiet, too exposed. Marcus could come home any minute. Helen could drop by unannounced, like she always does. A car door slams outside. I shove everything back into the safe, heart pounding as I spin the dial. Footsteps on the porch, keys jingling. Marcus finds me in the kitchen, calmly stirring coffee like I haven't just discovered how thoroughly he's destroyed me. "You're home early," I say, proud of how steady my voice sounds. He loosens his tie, watching me with those calculating eyes. Board meeting ended sooner than expected. He comes closer, kisses my cheek. "Have you been crying?" "Allergies." His hand catches my wrist, thumb pressing into my pulse point. "You know you can tell me anything, right? We're partners." I meet his gaze, thinking of all the documents I just photographed. Of course we are. Good. His grip tightens slightly. Because Mother mentioned seeing Sophie's car here again yesterday? She dropped off some old photos from college. The lie comes easily now. Nothing important. Autumn. He says my name like he's scolding a child. After what happened the other night, I thought we had an understanding about Sophie. I pull away, moving to the sink. I understand perfectly. You made that very clear on that dirt road. That was unfortunate. He sighs, following me. But you forced my hand. All these questions about the business, meeting with old colleagues. It had to stop. And stealing my inheritance? Was that unfortunate too? The words escape before I can stop them. Marcus goes very still. What did you say? I turn to face him, terror and rage warring in my chest. I saw the papers, Marcus. The transfers. The forged signatures. Everything. His expression doesn't change, but something dark flickers in his eyes. You went through my safe? Your safe? I laugh, the sound brittle. Half of what's in there was mine. Before you and your mother decided to, his hand slams against the counter beside me. I flinch, but keep talking. How long have you been planning this? Was it your idea, or Helen's? You don't understand business, he says softly, dangerously. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made for the greater good. The greater good? My voice rises. You stole everything I had. I protected it. He moves closer, trapping me against the sink. You think you could manage that money better than me? Than Mother? We built an empire while you were playing at marketing campaigns. Playing? The word tastes like poison. I was vice president of... You were nothing, he snaps. And you'd still be nothing without us. Without me. The truth of it hits me then. Not just the theft, but the years of subtle degradation. The careful, calculated destruction of everything I was. You're right, I whisper. I was nothing. But that's changing. His hand catches my jaw, fingers digging in. Is that a threat? No, darling. I smile, channeling Helen's sweetest tone. Just a fact. The front door opens and Helen's voice rings out. Marcus, your father's lawyer is here about the trust fund transfers. Marcus releases me, straightening his tie. Not a word. He warns, then calls out, Coming, Mother? I wait until his footsteps fade, then pull out my phone. My hands shake as I text Sophie. It's worse than we thought. Much worse. Her reply comes instantly. Oliver Thompson agreed to meet. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. I touch my jaw where Marcus's fingers left their mark, thinking of all the documents now saved on my phone. Of all the years I spent being nothing. I'll be there. I text back. Time to become something they never saw coming. Oliver Thompson's office feels too bright, too exposed. The wall of windows behind his desk leaves nowhere to hide, and my hands won't stop shaking as I spread the documents across his desk. These transfers, he says, tapping one of the papers, they're all technically legal. Marcus made sure of that. But the signatures could be explained away. Power of attorney is messy territory. Oliver leans back, studying me with unexpected intensity. The real question is, why come to me? Before I can answer, my vision blurs. The room tilts sideways. Autumn? Sophie's voice seems far away. When was the last time you ate? I try to remember, but the days have blurred together. The constant vigilance, the pretending, the fear, it's all catching up at once. Oliver's hand appears with a glass of water. Drink this. Slowly. The water helps, but my hands still tremble. I'm fine. No, Sophie says firmly. You're not. And that's exactly why we're here. Oliver stands, pacing behind his desk. Marcus Carter and I have history. Bad history. He destroyed my first company through similar tactics. Legal theft wrapped in pretty paperwork. Then help me, I say. You know how they operate. It's not that simple. He stops pacing, faces me directly. The Carters don't just destroy businesses, they destroy people. Helen's specialty is making problems disappear. A chill runs through me. What kind of problems? Their last daughter-in-law, for instance, Marcus's first wife. Oliver's voice goes flat. Official record says she had a breakdown, moved abroad. Unofficial story? Nobody knows. Sophie grabs my arm. You never told me Marcus was married before. Because I didn't know. The room starts spinning again. All those subtle warnings from Helen about family loyalty, about keeping secrets. All those times Marcus mentioned how unstable some women become in high-pressure marriages. She tried to expose them too. Oliver says quietly. Came to me for help, just like you're doing now. I was too afraid to get involved. 2 weeks later, she was gone. My phone buzzes. A text from Marcus. Where are you? Mother's worried. Another buzz. Come home now. We need to discuss your medication. What medication? Sophie asks, reading over my shoulder. I'm not on any. The realization hits like a physical blow. The coffee Marcus insists on making every morning. The dizzy spells. The gaps in my memory. Oliver takes my phone, reads the messages. They're setting up your breakdown narrative, making sure there's a paper trail of instability. Like his first wife. I whisper. You can't go back there, Sophie says. But Oliver shakes his head. She has to. If she runs now, they'll use it against her. Make it part of their story. So what, she just plays along while they poison her? No. Oliver pulls out a business card, writes something on the back. She documents everything, builds her case. And most importantly, he hands me the card. She lets me help this time. I won't make the same mistake twice. My phone buzzes again. Helen. Darling, we're so worried. Marcus says you've been confused lately. I'm calling Dr. Reynolds. The pieces click together. The long game they've been playing. How long have they been laying this groundwork? How many coffee cups, how many vitamins prescribed by their hand-picked doctors? I need to throw up, I announce, and barely make it to Oliver's private bathroom. Sophie holds my hair back while I empty my stomach. When I'm done, she helps me to my feet, and I catch my reflection in the mirror. Pale, shaking, mascara smeared. I already look the part they're creating for me. I can't let them win, I tell my reflection. I won't disappear. Oliver appears in the doorway. Then let's make sure you're the one writing the ending to this story. I straighten my spine, wipe my face clean. Another text buzzes. Marcus again, his concern growing more demanding by the minute. Okay, I say. Tell me what to do. Because this time, the breakdown they're orchestrating won't go according to their script. This time, when everything falls apart, they'll be the ones who never see it coming. The tiny recording device feels like a bomb in my palm as I slide it into my bra. Oliver's words echo in my head. Get them talking. Let them reveal themselves. Marcus watches me prepare his morning coffee from the kitchen doorway. I haven't touched mine in days, dumping it in the sink when he's not looking. Playing the role of dutiful wife while my hands shake from withdrawal of whatever they've been giving me. You seem better, he says, accepting the cup. More focused. Dr. Reynolds adjusted my medication. The lie comes easily now. The doctor's actual diagnosis sits in my purse. Clean blood work, no trace of the drugs they claimed I needed. Helen breezes in, perfectly coiffed despite the early hour. Darling, you're joining us for the foundation meeting today, yes? My heart races. The foundation. Their perfect money laundering facade. Of course. Wonderful. She touches my cheek, her fingers cold. We need to discuss the upcoming audit. Such tedious business. Marcus's phone rings. As he steps out, Helen's smile hardens. I had the most interesting chat with Oliver Thompson yesterday. My blood freezes. Keep calm. Keep recording. Oh? He mentioned seeing you at his office. She opens her designer bag, removes a manila envelope. Made me wonder what else you've been up to. Photos spill across the counter. Me entering Oliver's building. Sophie carrying files. The timestamp shows yesterday. You've been watching me. We protect what's ours. Helen's voice drops. Like we protected Marcus from his first wife when she became unstable. What happened to her? What happens to all threats to this family? She slides the photos back into the envelope. They're handled. The recording device feels heavier. One confession down. Is that what I am? A threat? Oh, sweetheart. Her laugh chills me. You're barely an inconvenience, though I must admit you've lasted longer than expected. Marcus returns, phone still in hand. That was Dr. Reynolds. He's concerned about your missed appointments. I've been busy. Too busy for your mental health? Helen tuts. After everything we've done to help you? My fingers curl around my coffee cup. One push and it would spill across the incriminating photos. But that's not enough. I need more. The foundation audit. I say carefully. Maybe I could help review the numbers? Marcus and Helen exchange looks. You're not well enough for that. Marcus says softly, dangerously. But I feel better, clearer. I force a smile. Unless there's something you don't want me to see? Helen's hand shoots out, grabs my wrist. Her manicured nails dig into my skin. Listen carefully, dear. You're having an episode. Paranoid delusions. If you continue this way, we'll have no choice but to seek more intensive treatment options. The threat hangs heavy, like his first wife, like all their problems that conveniently disappear. My phone buzzes. Sophie. Oliver found something big. Get out now. You're hurting me, I tell Helen, loud enough for the recorder to catch. She releases me, smile back in place. Just concerned about your welfare, dear. We all are. Marcus steps closer, boxing me in. Why don't I drive you to Dr. Reynolds, right now? The same tone he used that night on the dirt road. Actually, I steady my voice. I'm meeting Sophie for lunch. Cancel it. Not a request. No. The word hangs between us. Small, dangerous. Marcus's hand finds my shoulder, squeezing. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. I shrug off his hand. And I'm late. I grab my purse, heart pounding. Helen calls after me. Don't forget the charity gala tomorrow night, dear. Everyone's so worried about you. I make it to my car, hands shaking as I text Sophie. Got it, Helen confessed, but they know about Oliver. Her response is immediate. Change of plans, meet at the backup location, don't trust your phone. As I pull away, I catch Helen watching from the window, phone to her ear. Marcus gets into his car. They'll follow me, of course. But for the first time, I want them to. Sometimes the best trap is the one they think they're setting themselves. The charity gala sparkles with false promises, just like everything else in the Carter family empire. I adjust my cream silk gown, Helen's latest attempt to dress me like a doll, and watch the security team sweep the ballroom for recording devices. They won't find anything. Not yet. You look pale, Marcus whispers, his hand possessive on my lower back. Perhaps we should skip the presentation. And disappoint your mother? I force a smile. Never. Across the room, Sophie catches my eye. She's positioning herself near the audiovisual controls just as planned. Oliver stands by the bar, chatting with board members, laying groundwork. Helen glides over, champagne in hand. Darling, Dr. Reynolds is here. He's quite concerned about your stability. I spot him in the crowd, the doctor they bought to help gaslight me into submission. My hands shake slightly, and Marcus's grip tightens. I'm fine, I say, but my voice wavers. The room spins slightly. Something's wrong. The champagne. I only took one sip. Are you sure? Helen's concern sounds genuine. Perfect for our audience. You're trembling. Marcus leads me toward a quiet corner. Maybe you should sit down. No. Not now. Not when we're so close. I see Sophie moving toward the stage, flash drive in hand. But my vision's blurring. They must have known. Must have planned for this. What did you give me? I managed to whisper. Marcus's smile is gentle. Terrible. Just something to help with your anxiety, sweetheart. Dr. Reynolds prescribed it specially. The room tilts. I stumble and Marcus catches me, playing the devoted husband perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen, Helen's voice carries across the ballroom. I'm afraid my daughter-in-law is having one of her episodes. If we could clear the room. No. I push away from Marcus, fighting the drug's pull. Sophie now. But Sophie isn't at the controls anymore. Instead, a security guard is leading her out, flash drive nowhere in sight. Oliver's gone too. Looking for this? Helen holds up the drive, her smile razor sharp. Really, dear, did you think we wouldn't have contingencies? The room's watching now. Witnesses to my breakdown, just as they planned. Tell them, I say, my words slurring. Tell them about Marcus's first wife. Poor thing, Helen says to the crowd. She's been having these paranoid delusions, imagining conspiracies, making accusations. The foundation. I try again, but my legs give out. Marcus catches me, scoops me up like a child. Dr. Reynolds, he calls. We need that sedative now. I see the needle approaching, see the pity in the guest's eyes. The story's already writing itself. Another unstable Carter wife, another tragic breakdown. The recording. I whisper, reaching for the device in my bra, but my fingers find nothing. Helen holds up my recorder, shakes her head sadly. Found during the security sweep, dear, along with quite a few other concerning items. The needle slides in. The room grows darker. You'll get the help you need, Marcus promises, loud enough for everyone to hear. Just like we helped Elizabeth. Elizabeth, his first wife's name. He's never said it before. As consciousness fades, I see Dr. Reynolds writing in his chart. See Helen directing security to clear the room. See Sophie being escorted out, her face devastated. They won't just discredit me now. They'll erase me, like Elizabeth, like all their other problems. The last thing I hear is Helen's voice, dripping with manufactured concern. We'll take good care of her. The private facility is very discreet. The darkness takes me, but not before I feel Marcus slip something into my clutch bag. Something small and hard. A phone. Not mine. His fingers brush my ear as he pretends to stroke my hair, whispers words meant only for me. Should have stayed quiet, love. Now we'll have to make this permanent. The sedative pulls me under, but one thought remains. They think they've won. They don't know about the second recorder, the one Oliver planted in Helen's own purse. The private facility's walls are stark white, but the recording playing through the boardroom speakers paints them blood red. Helen's voice fills the room. Like we handled Elizabeth. A tragic accident, of course. These unstable women, they do such desperate things. I watch Marcus's face as his mother's confession plays. Watch the color drain from his features as she details Elizabeth's final days. The treatment that wasn't treatment at all. Turn it off, Helen commands, but Oliver, standing by the audiovisual controls, doesn't move. The board members shift uncomfortably in their seats. 3 days I've been in this facility, playing the broken wife, while Sophie and Oliver gathered the board for this emergency meeting. Mrs. Carter, one director speaks up. Are you saying you deliberately... She's clearly manipulated the recording. Helen interrupts. My disturbed daughter-in-law has evidence of every transaction. Oliver cuts in, sliding folders across the table. Every shell company. Every bribe to Dr. Reynolds. Every cent stolen from Elizabeth's estate after her accident. Marcus stands abruptly. This is absurd. Autumn needs help. Like Elizabeth needed help? I ask quietly. The sedatives they thought they were giving me sit untouched in my pocket. Tell them, Marcus. Tell them how she fought back. How she found the evidence, just like I did. You don't know what you're talking about. But his hand trembles as he reaches for his water glass. the Foundation's real books, Oliver announces, distributing more documents. Notice the signature on the transfer orders, the dates, the amounts. Helen's composure cracks. You're working with him? After what Marcus did to your company? Exactly because of what he did. Oliver's smile is cold. I owed Elizabeth that much. We were building a case together before her accident. The boardroom door opens. A police detective enters, followed by Dr. Reynolds in handcuffs. The doctor's been very cooperative, the detective says, especially about Elizabeth Carter's toxicology reports. Marcus lunges for the door, but security blocks his path. You can't prove anything. Actually, Sophie steps forward, holding up Helen's purse. Your mother's recorder caught quite a bit during your private conversation last night. About making my treatment permanent? About Elizabeth's convenient accident? Helen's mask finally shatters. We did for the family. These women, they come in with their ambitions, their independence. They try to ruin everything we've built. No, Mother. I stand, steady on my feet for the first time in days. You did this. You and Marcus. Elizabeth saw it. I saw it. And now everyone sees it. You stupid girl. Marcus's voice drops to that dangerous whisper I know so well. You think this ends here? You think you've won? Actually, the detective steps forward. This ended the moment you slipped that phone into her bag at the gala. The one recording your entire confession about Elizabeth's murder. Marcus goes very still. What? I pull out his phone, the one he thought would record my final drug-induced confession. You should really check devices before using them as weapons. Oliver's quite good with technology. The detective moves forward with handcuffs. Helen crumples into her chair, her carefully constructed world falling apart. The board votes to freeze all assets, a director announces, and to cooperate fully with the investigation. As they lead Marcus past me, he hisses, I made you. You're nothing without me. No, I reply softly. I remade myself, despite you. The boardroom empties, leaving me with Sophie and Oliver. Through the window, I watch police escort Helen and Marcus to waiting cars. Elizabeth would be proud, Oliver says quietly. It was never just about revenge, I tell him. It was about justice. For her. For all of us they tried to erase. Sophie hugs me tightly. Ready to go home? I look around the facility where they thought they'd imprison me, just like they imprisoned Elizabeth. Where they thought they'd write my ending. Yes, I say. But not to their home. To mine. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's surviving to tell the story yourself. The courthouse steps feel different under my feet today. No more designer heels Helen chose. I wear my own shoes, make my own stride. Marcus waits by his lawyer's car, out on bail for the preliminary hearing. His expensive suit hangs loose, his charm weathered by 6 weeks in custody. When he sees me, something desperate flashes in his eyes. Autumn, wait. He hurries over, keeping just beyond the restraining order's limit. We can fix this. Everything I did for us. No. I meet his gaze steadily. You did it for yourself. Like you did with Elizabeth. Elizabeth was weak. His mask slips, showing the darkness beneath. But you're different. Stronger. We could rebuild everything, better than before. I almost laugh at how well I know this script now. The manipulation, the false promises, the carefully crafted words designed to make me doubt myself. The board approved the merger with Oliver's company this morning. I tell him, your mother's foundation is being dissolved. Assets redistributed to the victims' families. His features contort. You're working with him? After everything I told you about? About how he tried to expose your fraud years ago? How he and Elizabeth were building a case before her accident? I adjust my blazer. Corporate armor, not silk chains. Yes, he told me everything. The real everything. A court officer approaches. Mrs. Carter, they're ready for your testimony. Marcus steps forward, desperation breaking through. Don't do this, please, If you say you love me, I cut him off. I'll add perjury to your charges. Inside, I pass Helen being led to a conference room. Her designer clothes are gone, replaced by department store beige. She won't meet my eyes. Sophie waits by the courtroom doors. Ready? Almost. I pull an envelope from my bag, the one I found in Oliver's office last night. Elizabeth's last letter, the one she tried to mail before they stopped her. Sophie's eyes widen. Have you read it? No. I turn the envelope over, seeing the name written in desperate strokes. Oliver Thompson. Some stories aren't mine to know. I hand it to the bailiff, watching him deliver it to Oliver in the gallery. Watch him recognize the handwriting, his hands trembling as he holds the last words of the woman he couldn't save. The judge calls the court to order. I take my place at the witness stand, feeling Marcus's stare, Helen's carefully constructed indifference. But they don't matter anymore. Their power was always an illusion, built on secrets and silence. The prosecutor rises. Please state your name for the record. I lean into the microphone, my voice clear and strong. Autumn Ellis. My own name again, not theirs. Former Chief Financial Officer of Carter Industries. Marcus flinches at the title, the position Oliver offered, the one Helen always said I wasn't qualified for. The irony doesn't escape me. As I begin my testimony, I see Sophie typing notes, Oliver clutching Elizabeth's letter, the victims' families hanging on every word. My story weaves with theirs now, a tapestry of survival and justice. The truth spills out, not in angry torrents, but in precise, devastating facts. Account numbers, dates, conversations recorded when they thought I was broken. Each detail another brick in the wall that will keep them from hurting anyone else. When I finish, Marcus's lawyer has no questions. No way to twist this narrative. Outside, rain begins to fall. I think of that night on the dirt road, how lost I felt, how far I've come. Sophie touches my arm. Oliver's waiting with the merger papers. In a minute, I watch Marcus and Helen being led away, their facades finally crumbling. They taught me well, about power, about manipulation, about revenge. But they never understood the most important lesson. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in rebuilding everything they tried to break, including yourself.
The text arrived at 3:47 p.m., right as I was wrapping up the quarterly earnings presentation. Unknown number. Just 3 words and a video attachment. Watch this carefully, Eva. I almost deleted it. Spam comes in all forms these days, and running a tech company means being extra cautious about random attachments. But something made me hesitate. Maybe it was the use of my name, or the way my phone displayed a preview of the video thumbnail, a conference room I recognized all too well. I'm Eva Carter, co-founder of Carter Technologies, and that video would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. Mrs. Carter, the board is ready for you, my assistant called through the intercom. 5 minutes, I replied, my finger hovering over the play button. The thumbnail showed our main conference room, the one with that hideous abstract painting Nathan insisted on hanging last year. Nathan. My husband. My business partner. The father of my child. The video started playing. The timestamp showed last Thursday, when Nathan said he was meeting potential investors. He stood at the head of the table, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, his classic, trust me, pose. But these weren't investors. The transfer needs to happen before the end of the quarter, Nathan was saying, pointing at something on his laptop. Eva doesn't check the offshore accounts. She never has. My stomach clenched. The voices continued, discussing numbers, percentages, something about shell companies. I recognized one of the other voices, James from accounting. The same James who's been avoiding eye contact with me for weeks. Mrs. Carter. The intercom again. The board is getting impatient. I switched off the intercom.
My hands were steady as I texted back to the unknown number. Who is this? The response came immediately. Someone who thinks you deserve to know. Check account 847-92X. My fingers flew across the keyboard, accessing our company's financial portal. The account number wasn't familiar, but I had access to everything. Or so I thought. The system prompted me for a secondary password I'd never seen before. Eva. Nathan's voice at my door made me jump. They're waiting for us, honey. I locked my phone, slipped it into my pocket. 18 years of marriage, and I'd never heard anything false in his voice before. Now, every word felt like a lie. Coming, I said, gathering my presentation materials. When I looked up, he was smiling, that same smile that won me over in college, the one our daughter Megan inherited. Megan. God, Megan. She was supposed to start college in the fall. We'd been planning it for years, saving for it. The board meeting passed in a blur. I presented numbers I no longer trusted, smiled at people I couldn't be sure were complicit. Nathan sat across from me, nodding encouragingly, playing his part perfectly. Excellent quarter, he announced at the end. Eva, you knocked it out of the park, as usual. The others murmured their agreement. I watched James shuffle his papers, avoiding my gaze. Back in my office, I called Lucas Bennett in HR. I need everything you have on account 847-92X. Off the record. Eva, that's. He paused. That's not a standard account. I know. That's why I'm asking you. Another pause. Give me an hour. And Eva? Be careful who you trust right now. I hung up and stared at the family photo on my desk. Nathan, Megan, and me at last year's company picnic. All smiles. All lies. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. There's more. Much more. Are you ready to see how deep this goes? I looked at Nathan through my office window, watching him charm a group of investors. My husband. My betrayer. Show me everything, I typed back. The response was immediate. Tomorrow. Noon. The coffee shop on 7th. Come alone. I deleted the thread and opened my calendar. Tomorrow at noon, I had lunch scheduled with Nathan's mother Rachel. Perfect alibi. The game was on, and Nathan had no idea he'd already lost. The coffee shop on 7th was packed when I arrived, but I spotted my mystery contact immediately. Lucas Bennett sat in the corner booth, his usual crisp appearance replaced by weekend casual. The sight of him made my chest tighten. I'd expected a stranger, not my own head of HR. You could have just told me directly, I said, sliding into the booth. Would you have believed me? Lucas pushed a manila envelope across the table. Or would you have dismissed it as office politics? He had a point. I'd known Lucas for 5 years, trusted him with personnel issues, but this was different. This was my husband, my company, my life. How long have you known? 3 months. Started noticing discrepancies in the payroll system. Dummy accounts, ghost employees. He tapped the envelope. The video was just confirmation of what I already suspected. I opened the envelope, spreading documents across the table. Bank statements, transfer records, emails. My coffee grew cold as I pieced together Nathan's betrayal. My phone buzzed. Megan, Mom, where are you? Dad's acting weird about lunch with Grandma Rachel. Tell her I'm sorry, I typed back. Emergency meeting. Everything okay? I stared at her message. Megan had her father's intuition, she could smell a lie a mile away. Just work stuff, honey. See you at dinner. Lucas watched me put the phone away. She doesn't know. She's 18. About to graduate. This would destroy her. Eva. His voice softened. She's going to find out eventually. Nathan's been siphoning money from her college fund. The world tilted sideways. What? Account 847-92X. That's where the education trust was moved. He's been. Mrs. Carter. Rachel's voice cut through the cafe noise like a knife. Nathan's mother stood by our table, her perfectly maintained smile slipping as she looked between Lucas and me. I thought we had lunch plans. Rachel, No need to explain. Her smile turned brittle. Nathan mentioned you've been working late. Having lots of meetings. The implication hung in the air. I could see the story forming in her mind: secret rendezvous, clandestine meetings, her son's wife with a younger man. It's not what you think, Lucas started. It never is, dear. Rachel patted my shoulder. I'll let Nathan know you're busy. She left before I could respond, her heels clicking against the floor like a countdown. Well, Lucas said, that complicates things. My phone buzzed again. Nathan, Mom says you're in a meeting with Lucas. Everything okay? Then Megan, Dad's being super weird. What's really going on? And Rachel, we need to talk about Nathan. Soon. The messages blurred together, a chorus of demands and questions I couldn't answer honestly. Not yet. I need to see those college fund records, I told Lucas. Everything. Eva, maybe we should. My daughter's future, Lucas. He's stealing my daughter's future. He pulled out his laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard. Numbers filled the screen, transfers, withdrawals, a systematic draining of resources. Each transaction felt like a personal betrayal. He's planning something big, Lucas said. These patterns suggest. The cafe door chimed. Nathan walked in, all casual confidence and practiced charm. Our eyes met across the room, and for a moment, I saw something flicker behind his smile: fear, maybe, or guilt. Eva, honey. He approached our table, kissing my cheek as if nothing was wrong. Lucas, good to see you. Mind if I join? Lucas closed his laptop too quickly. Nathan noticed, his smile tightening at the corners. Actually, I stood up, gathering the documents we were just finishing. Quarterly reviews, you know how it is. Of course. Nathan's hand found the small of my back, possessive. Dinner at home tonight? Megan's making her famous lasagna. I nodded, feeling his fingers press against my spine. The same hands that signed away our daughter's future. Wouldn't miss it, I said, and watched his shoulders relax slightly. As we left the cafe, I caught Lucas's eye. He gave me a subtle nod, he'd keep digging, keep gathering evidence. Nathan's hand stayed on my back, guiding me toward his car, and I let him think he was still in control. Tonight at dinner, I'd watch my husband lie to our daughter's face. And I'd start planning exactly how to tear his world apart. Megan's lasagna sat untouched on my plate as Nathan detailed his latest investment opportunity to our daughter. Every word from his mouth was poison, wrapped in that trademark charm that had fooled me for 18 years. It's revolutionary, he said, gesturing with his wine glass. The kind of opportunity that comes once in a lifetime. Like Mom's company? Megan asked, and I nearly choked on my water. Nathan's smile flickered. Different market, sweetheart. Fresh perspective. My phone vibrated. Lucas, emergency. Check your email now. I excused myself, hands trembling as I opened my laptop in the study. The email contained a single attachment: incorporation papers for Carter Innovation Labs. The registration date was tomorrow. The seed money. Every penny from Megan's college fund. Mom? Megan stood in the doorway. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Before I could answer, Nathan appeared behind her. Everything all right, honey? I closed the laptop. Fine. Just work. Always work these days, he said, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. Speaking of which, the board called an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. First I'm hearing of it. Last minute thing. Probably nothing. He squeezed Megan's shoulder. Hey kiddo, why don't you clear the table? Mom and I need to talk business. The moment Megan left, Nathan's facade cracked. You've been digging. And you've been stealing. It's called investing in our future. Our future. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. Or your future with Carter Innovation Labs. His expression hardened. So you know. I know you're stealing our daughter's college fund. I know you're planning to destroy everything we built together. Eva, listen. Board meeting tomorrow. Let me guess, a vote of no confidence. How long have you been poisoning them against me? He stepped closer, voice dropping. You're emotional. Not thinking clearly. This is business. This is family. Family? He scoffed. Family is what I'm trying to protect. You've gotten unstable. The board's concerned. Lucas's reports. Lucas's reports. He's been documenting your erratic behavior. The secret meetings, the unauthorized investigations, the paranoid accusations. My world tilted. Lucas. My ally. My confidant. You're lying. Am I? Nathan pulled out his phone, showed me emails from Lucas detailing my concerning patterns of behavior. Mom? Megan's voice cracked. She stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. What's happening? Nathan moved to comfort her, but she stepped back. Don't. I heard everything. The college fund. How could you? Sweetheart, it's complicated. It's theft, I said. Plain and simple. Your mother's upset, Nathan said smoothly. She's been under a lot of pressure. Stop lying. Megan's shout echoed through the house. Just stop. She ran upstairs, her door slamming like a gunshot. Well done, Nathan said. You've upset her. I've upset her. You stole her future. I secured it. Tomorrow, the board will vote you out. Temporary medical leave, for your own good. Then, once you're gone, Carter Innovation Labs launches. Clean slate. And Megan? She'll understand eventually. Kids always do. My phone buzzed again. Lucas, I'm sorry. He gave me no choice. Another message appeared, from Alex Parker in IT. Got everything. Server logs, deleted emails, all of it. Meet me tonight. I looked at Nathan, still talking, still spinning his web of lies. Get out. Eva. Get out. Before I call the police. He smiled, sad and patronizing. And tell them what? That your loving husband is trying to protect you from yourself. That your trusted HR director supports my concerns. Think carefully about your next move, Eva. There's still a way we can all win. He left me standing there, surrounded by the wreckage of my life. Upstairs, I could hear Megan crying. My phone lit up one last time. Alex, time sensitive. Yes or no? I thought about Nathan's smug certainty, about Lucas's betrayal, about my daughter's tears. Yes, I typed back. Tell me everything. The game had changed. Nathan thought he'd won, thought he'd trapped me in a corner. But he'd forgotten one thing: a wounded animal is most dangerous when it has nothing left to lose. Tomorrow, the board would try to take my company. Tonight, I'd make sure they learned exactly who they were dealing with. Alex's apartment was a maze of computer screens, each displaying fragments of my shattered life. Financial records, emails, surveillance footage, my husband's betrayal documented in cold, digital detail. "He's been planning this for 14 months, Alex said, pulling up a timeline. "Started right after you landed the Morrison contract." The Morrison contract. Our company's biggest deal. The one Nathan had insisted I take lead on, keeping me distracted with endless meetings and presentations. "Show me everything." Alex clicked through documents. Multiple shell companies, all feeding into Carter Innovation Labs. But here's where it gets interesting. He highlighted a series of transactions. These transfers. They're not just from Megan's college fund. My throat tightened. "What do you mean?" "Your mother's medical trust. The one you set up after her cancer diagnosis." The room tilted. I gripped the desk, knuckles white. That money was untouchable. Nathan found a way. Used your power of attorney to. My phone rang. Megan's ringtone. I answered to the sound of her crying. "Mom. Grandma Rachel's here. She's saying terrible things about you." In the background, I heard Rachel's voice. "Your mother's always been unstable, dear. Remember that time in Aspen?" Aspen. The ski trip where I'd caught Nathan with receipts for jewelry I'd never received. He'd convinced everyone I was paranoid, imagining things. "I'm coming home," I said. "Don't bother." Nathan's voice replaced Megan's. "Rachel's helping Megan pack. She'll stay with us until you recover." The line went dead. Alex watched me, concern etched on his face. "Eva. He's taking my daughter." My voice sounded distant, hollow. Using my own mother-in-law to, I stopped, something clicking into place. "Pull up Rachel's financial records." Alex's fingers flew across the keyboard. Nothing unusual in her personal accounts, but... Wait. He zoomed in on a document. "There's a trust in her name, established 3 months ago. Significant monthly deposits. Nathan's paying her. To what? Discredit you?" My laugh was bitter. To help him steal my life. I scrolled through the records, each transaction feeling like another betrayal. The board meeting tomorrow. He's going to use Rachel's testimony to prove I'm unstable. We can fight this. With these records. No. I straightened, a plan forming. Let him think he's won. "Eva. The board wants to put me on medical leave." "Fine. I'll give them exactly what they expect, the unstable woman having a breakdown." I pulled out my phone, dialing Lucas's number. He answered on the first ring. "Eva, I can explain." "Save it. You're going to help me, or I'll release proof that you helped Nathan embezzle funds." Silence. "Then, what do you need?" "Tomorrow's board meeting. I want you to back up everything Nathan says about my mental state." "I don't understand." "You don't need to understand. Just do it." I hung up and turned to Alex. "How long would it take to transfer everything you found to an offshore server?" "Hours. Maybe all night." "Do it." "And Alex?" I met his eyes. "Thank you for not being like Lucas." He nodded, understanding what I couldn't say. My phone buzzed with a text from Megan. "Mom, what's really going on?" "Dad says you're sick, but I saw the documents on his laptop. About the college fund." I stared at her message, tears blurring my vision. My daughter, smarter than either of us had given her credit for. Trust me, I typed back. And whatever happens tomorrow, remember that everything I do is to protect you. I looked at Alex, still working through Nathan's digital trail. One more thing. I need you to help me disappear. He stopped typing. Disappear? Nathan thinks he's destroying me. Tomorrow, I'll let him think he has. I smiled, feeling calmer than I had in weeks. And then I'll show him what real destruction looks like. The screens around us glowed with evidence of Nathan's crimes, casting shadows that danced like promises of revenge. Tomorrow, I'd lose everything, my company, my reputation, maybe even my daughter's trust. But Nathan had forgotten the most important lesson in business: sometimes you have to sacrifice everything to win the game. The board meeting went exactly as planned. I played my part perfectly: the unstable wife, the paranoid executive, the woman on the edge. When Rachel testified about my episodes, I threw my coffee cup against the wall. Nathan barely hid his triumphant smile. 2 hours later, I sat in Fresh Start Tech's modern lobby, my resignation letter still warm in the board's hands. Alex had arranged everything through back channels: a new identity, a consulting position, and most importantly, a direct line to Nathan's eventual downfall. Miss Evans. The receptionist called my new name. Mr. Chen will see you now. Fresh Start CEO stood as I entered, extending his hand. Sarah Evans. Your reputation precedes you. If only he knew which reputation. We're expanding our cybersecurity division, he continued. Your experience with Carter Technologies makes you uniquely qualified to protect us from similar companies. The irony wasn't lost on me. Nathan's new venture would target exactly the kind of startups Fresh Start represented. My phone vibrated. Megan, Mom, where are you? Dad's telling everyone you had a breakdown. I switched it off. Distance was crucial now, even from her. Especially from her. When can you start? Chen asked. Immediately. I handed him a folder, including some initial observations about potential vulnerabilities in your system. He flipped through the pages, eyebrows rising. These are remarkably detailed. I'm thorough. So I see. He paused at one page. This signature approval process, it's exactly what Carter Technologies uses. Used to use, I corrected. Before their recent leadership changes. My phone buzzed again, a text from Alex. Nathan's making his move. Carter Innovation Labs just filed for incorporation. Perfect timing. Speaking of Carter Technologies, I said carefully, I heard rumors about a new competitor entering the market. Chen nodded. Carter Innovation Labs. They're already headhunting our engineers. You'll need someone who knows their playbook. Is that what you're offering? I smiled, channeling Nathan's trademark charm. I'm offering to help you destroy them before they destroy you. Later, in my temporary office, Alex brought the news I'd been waiting for. Nathan submitted his resume. Through a headhunter, trying to be subtle. And Chen wants to interview him next week. He doesn't know you're here. I pulled up Nathan's application on my screen. His list of accomplishments read like a confession of theft. Every major project he claimed credit for had been mine. Mom. Megan's voice at my door froze my blood. I turned slowly. My daughter stood there, holding a familiar manila envelope. How did you find me? Alex told me. She stepped inside, closing the door. After I showed him these. She spread documents across my desk, copies of everything Nathan had stolen, everything he'd hidden. I've been collecting evidence since I found the first transfer from my college fund. Megan. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't try to protect me. I'm not a child anymore. I studied her face, Nathan's determination, my analytical mind. How long have you known? Long enough to make my own copies before Dad could destroy everything. She met my eyes. I want in. No. Absolutely not. Mom, he stole my future. Our future. She laid out more papers. And I found something you missed. The document showed a series of transfers to an account I didn't recognize. The beneficiary, Michael Carter. Who's Michael Carter? Megan's laugh was bitter. Dad's other son. The one he had with his assistant 3 years ago. The room spun. Another family. Another life. Another betrayal. I have a plan, Megan said. But we need to move fast. Dad's interview is next week, and he's already talking about bringing his whole family to fresh start. I looked at my daughter, no longer the child I was trying to protect, but a woman demanding justice. Tell me your plan. She smiled, and for the first time, I saw myself in her expression, not the woman Nathan had tried to destroy, but the one who would destroy him instead. First, she said, we need to talk about Dad's interview. And about Michael's mother. The game was changing. Nathan thought he was playing chess, but he'd never noticed who was really moving the pieces. Behind the one-way mirror, I watched Nathan adjust his tie, practicing that winning smile that had fooled so many for so long. The interview room at Fresh Start Tech felt like a cage, trapping us both in this moment. Ready? Alex whispered, adjusting the recording equipment. I nodded, unable to trust my voice. Megan squeezed my hand, then took her position by the door. Everything we'd planned hinged on the next 30 minutes. Lucas entered the interview room, playing his part perfectly. Mr. Carter, impressive resume. Please, call me Nathan. That practiced charm, spreading like oil on water. You left Carter Technologies rather abruptly. Nathan's smile flickered. Creative differences with the leadership. My wife's condition made things complicated. Your wife. Lucas consulted his notes. Evangeline Carter. Co-founder. Ex-co-founder. She's taking some time to focus on her health. My fingers dug into my palms. Beside me, Megan tensed. And your new venture? Lucas asked. Carter Innovation Labs. A fresh start. Speaking of which. Nathan leaned forward. I understand you're having security issues. Particularly with protecting intellectual property. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Oh? I have sources suggesting your encryption protocols are vulnerable. Nathan's smile turned predatory. I could help with that. The door opened. Right on cue, Rachel Carter walked in. Nathan's composure cracked. Mother. What are you? I'm sorry, Nathan. Rachel's voice shook. I can't do this anymore. She placed a folder on the table. Documents. Bank statements. Proof of every lie. What is this? Nathan's charm vanished. Mother, we discussed this. You discussed nothing. Megan stepped into the room. You ordered, threatened, and manipulated. Just like always. Nathan stood so quickly his chair toppled. Megan. What's going on? Sit down, Dad. Her voice was steel. Or should I call Michael's father? The color drained from his face. How did you know about your other family? I stepped through the door, dropping the Sarah Evans disguise like a shed skin. Our daughter is smarter than either of us gave her credit for. Eva. He whispered my name like a curse. This is impossible. You're unstable. Paranoid. In need of medical leave. I smiled. Amazing what a woman can accomplish when everyone underestimates her. He lunged for the documents, but Lucas was faster. These copies are just courtesy. The originals are already with the SEC. You're bluffing. Like you bluffed about my college fund. Megan's voice cracked. Or about Mom's company. Or about Michael. Nathan's face twisted. You don't understand. I did this for us. For our family. Which family? Rachel interrupted. The one you betrayed or the one you hid? The door opened again. A woman entered, young, pretty, holding a toddler with Nathan's eyes. Sarah. Nathan stumbled back. No. You can't be here. Actually, I said, she can. Sarah's been very helpful, especially after learning about the offshore accounts you kept from her. You built your new company with stolen money, Megan added. Our money. While your son needed surgery. Sarah hugged Michael closer. You said you'd pay for his operation. That the delay was just paperwork. Nathan looked around wildly, seeing nothing but betrayal in every face. This is a setup. You're all conspiring. To what? I stepped closer. Tell the truth. Show you for who you really are. His hand shot out, grabbing my arm. You vindictive. The camera clicked. Alex lowered his phone, smiling. Assault caught on camera. Nice touch. Security arrived, right on schedule. As they led Nathan away, he kept shouting about conspiracies, about my instability, about his innocence. Nobody believed him. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, watching my daughter comfort her sobbing grandmother, seeing Sarah shield Michael from his father's rage, I felt hollow. Mom. Megan touched my arm where Nathan had grabbed me. Are you okay? No, I admitted. But I will be. My phone buzzed, Chen calling. Time to explain why his new hire was being escorted out in handcuffs. Time to face the consequences of my own deceptions. The game wasn't over. It had just changed again. The anonymous blog post appeared 3 days after Nathan's arrest. The truth about Fresh Start Tech, a whistleblower's account. Every detail about their security vulnerabilities. Every weakness I'd identified in my first report to Chen, twisted into weapons. It's him, Alex confirmed, tracing the IP address. He's using a VPN, but the writing pattern matches Nathan's emails perfectly. I stared at my phone as Fresh Start's stock price plummeted. Chen had already called twice. He's desperate, Megan said, reading over my shoulder. This is sloppy. No. I stood up, grabbing my coat. This is bait. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and desperation. Nathan sat across from me, orange jumpsuit stark against his pale skin, but his smile hadn't changed. I wondered how long it would take you, he said. The blog stops now. What blog? His innocence was practiced, perfect. I'm in here, remember? Thanks to your little performance. You're destroying people's lives, Nathan. Fresh Start's employees, their families. Like you destroyed mine. His mask slipped, just for a moment. How's Michael, by the way? Bonding with his big sister. My phone buzzed. Alex, second post just dropped. Stocks in freefall. You want something, I said. What is it? Nathan leaned forward. A deal. You convinced the SEC to drop the charges, I stopped the leaks. You'd still lose everything. I already lost everything. His laugh was bitter. But so will you. Every company you touch, every project you start, I'll be there, Eva. In the shadows, waiting. My phone buzzed again. Megan, Mom, check your email. Now. I pulled up my inbox, found a forwarded message from Rachel. The subject line, insurance policy. What's wrong? Nathan's smile widened. Unexpected development. The attachment was a video, Nathan in his office, but not the one I'd seen before. This was older, from when we first started the company. He was talking to Rachel, outlining his plans, how he'd use my ideas, my work, build his empire on my foundation. You planned this from the beginning, I whispered. Business is business. He shrugged. You were brilliant but naive. The perfect combination. My phone lit up with another message. Alex, third post ready to launch. Say the word. I looked at Nathan, really looked at him. The man I'd loved, the father of my child, the architect of so many lies. He thought he was still playing chess, still moving pieces on a board. You're right, I said. Business is business. I stood up, pulled out my own phone, and played Rachel's video. Watched his smile fade as his younger self detailed every aspect of his long con. That's not. Where did you get that? Your mother had a conscience after all. I moved toward the door. The SEC already has a copy. Along with evidence of every blog post you've orchestrated from in here. Eva, wait. The posts stop now, Nathan. Or tomorrow's headline won't be about Fresh Start's vulnerabilities. It'll be about how you planned this entire scheme before we even got married. You're bluffing. I turned back, met his eyes. Am I? His face contorted. I'll destroy you. No. I smiled, feeling truly free for the first time in months. You already tried that. And look where we are. As I walked out, my phone buzzed one last time. Alex, Fresh Start stock stabilizing. Chen wants to meet. Then Megan, Mom, Sarah's here with Michael. He's asking about his dad. The weight of it all, the revenge, the lies, the collateral damage, settled on my shoulders. Nathan had tried to turn me into him, make me play his game. And I'd almost let him. Tell Sarah I'm on my way, I texted back. It's time we all talked about the future. Behind me, through the prison doors, I could hear Nathan shouting, demanding to see his lawyer, trying to regain control. But his voice grew fainter with each step I took toward the exit. Some games, I realized, you win by stopping playing. My phone buzzed again, Chen calling. Time to face the music, rebuild what Nathan had tried to destroy. But this time, I'd do it my way. The sun hit my face as I stepped outside. Somewhere in the city, my daughter was waiting with her little brother. A family born from lies, but maybe, just maybe, one that could heal through truth. The letter arrived on Megan's graduation day, delivered to Fresh Start Tech's reception desk. Nathan's handwriting, once so familiar, now looked like a stranger's scrawl. I sat in my office, the envelope untouched on my desk, while downstairs Megan showed Michael around the building. His excited chatter about computers and robots echoed through the halls, a reminder that innocence could survive even the darkest betrayals. You don't have to read it, Rachel said, settling into the chair across from me. Our weekly lunches had become a ritual of healing, each of us rebuilding what Nathan had broken. I know. I picked up the envelope. But I think I need to. The letter was short, just one page. No manipulations, no grand schemes. Just numbers, account details, passwords, instructions for recovering everything he'd stolen. At the bottom, 3 words, I'm truly sorry. My phone buzzed. Megan, ready when you are. I found them in the lobby, Michael perched on his sister's hip, pointing at the massive digital display showing Fresh Start's latest projects. Sarah stood nearby, watching her son with a mixture of love and worry I'd come to recognize in myself. Ready for your big moment? I asked Megan. She handed Michael to Sarah and pulled out her tablet. Are you? The document was already loaded, her story, our story, ready to be published. Not a tale of revenge or betrayal, but of truth and consequences. Every detail meticulously documented, every lie exposed, every lesson learned. You don't have to do this, I said. Yes, I do. She met my eyes. For Michael. For everyone who trusted him. For us. The lobby filled with familiar faces, Alex, Lucas, Chen, the entire Fresh Start family. They gathered around the display screen, waiting for Megan's signal. Before you do this, I handed her Nathan's letter. He sent account details. Everything he took, we can get back. She read it quickly, then folded it into a perfect square. It's not about the money anymore, Mom. It never really was. With a tap on her tablet, her story appeared on the massive screen. The Price of Trust, A Family's Journey Through Betrayal and Recovery, by Megan Carter. The room fell silent as people began to read. Not just about Nathan's crimes, but about Rachel's courage, Sarah's strength, Michael's innocence. About a daughter watching her family shatter and rebuild. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Nathan's prison email account. I saw the preview. She writes like you. Tell her. Tell her I'm proud. I deleted it without responding. Some bridges stay burned. Mom. Megan's voice pulled me back. We'll be late for graduation. Later, watching her cross the stage in her cap and gown, I thought about revenge and justice, about the fine line between protecting and controlling. Nathan had taught us all that lesson, though not in the way he intended. Michael cheered from Sarah's lap as Megan accepted her diploma. Rachel wiped tears from her eyes. Alex and Lucas, sitting a few rows back, gave standing ovations. And now, the principal announced, our valedictorian, Megan Carter. She took the podium, notes untouched in her hands. Today we talk about new beginnings, she started. But every beginning comes from an ending. The trick is knowing which endings to accept, and which ones to rewrite. Her eyes found mine in the crowd. In that moment, I saw not just my daughter, but a woman who had learned to forge strength from broken trust, wisdom from pain. The story wasn't over, it never really would be. Nathan's shadow would linger in Michael's questions, in Rachel's regrets, in the quiet moments when memories ambushed us. But we had chosen to write our own endings, to build something new from the ruins of his lies. Megan's voice carried across the auditorium, strong and clear. The truth isn't always clean or simple. Sometimes it breaks everything you thought you knew. But in that breaking, you find out what's real, what matters, what's worth fighting for. She was right. The truth had broken us. But in breaking, we had become something stronger, not despite Nathan's betrayal, but because of how we chose to rise above it.
Success tastes like copper pennies and broken promises. That's what I used to tell myself during those endless nights at the office, grinding away at presentations while my marriage collected dust at home. I should have known better, but ambition has a way of blinding you to the cracks forming right under your feet. I was reviewing quarterly projections when Simon walked into my office, his presence filling the doorway like a storm front. Athena, got a minute? The way he said it, casual but charged, made my stomach tighten. I'd worked under Simon long enough to recognize when something big was coming. Of course. I closed my laptop, giving him my full attention. That's what got me here in the first place. Always being ready. Always saying yes. The Carson branch needs new leadership. Their numbers are in the toilet, and the board wants someone who can turn things around. He leaned against my desk, arms crossed. I recommended you. My heart stuttered. Carson was our problem child. Rural, resistant to change, and notorious for eating through section chiefs like candy. It was also 3 hours away from home. It's a 6-month assignment, Simon continued. Success there means executive track. First female exec at Quantum. That's got your name written all over it. The words hit me like a shot of adrenaline. I'd been chasing that ceiling for years, watching less qualified men climb past me. Now here it was, my chance to shatter it. Ryan, I started, then stopped myself. My husband's face flashed in my mind. Supportive smile, worried eyes. Take the weekend. Think it over. Simon pushed off my desk. But Athena, don't let anyone else's limitations become yours. That night, I drove home with my mind racing and my hands tight on the steering wheel. Ryan was in the kitchen when I walked in, chopping vegetables with the precise, measured movements he brought to everything. "You're home early," he said, not looking up. Simon offered me the Carson branch. The words tumbled out before I could cushion them. The knife stopped mid-chop. "Carson? That's..." He set the knife down carefully. "That's not exactly commuting distance. 6 months. Executive track afterward." I moved closer, studying his profile. "It's what I've been working toward. Right?" He resumed chopping, harder now. "Of course it is." "Ryan." "No, I get it. This is your shot." He scraped the vegetables into a bowl, still not meeting my eyes. "We'll figure it out. We always do." But his voice had that hollow quality I'd started hearing more often lately, like he was reading from a script he didn't believe in anymore. "I haven't said yes yet," I offered, even though we both knew I would. He finally looked at me then, and something in his expression made my chest ache. "Yes, you have. You said yes the moment Simon walked into your office." Later that night, I lay awake listening to Ryan's measured breathing beside me. He was right. I had already decided. The question wasn't whether I would take the position, but what it would cost us. My phone buzzed with a text from Simon. "Board meeting Monday. Need your answer by then." I typed back one word. "Yes." In the dark, Ryan shifted slightly, and I wondered if he was really asleep, if he could feel the decision I'd just made vibrating through the mattress like an earthquake's first tremor. I didn't know then that I was setting in motion events that would shatter everything I thought I knew about my marriage, about Ryan, about myself. I didn't know that sometimes the path to revenge starts with a single word, typed in the dark while your husband pretends to sleep beside you. I just knew that come Monday, everything would change. And part of me was already wondering if I was ready for what that really meant. The cardboard boxes mock me from their neat stack in the corner of our bedroom. Each one represents another piece of my life I'll need to compartmentalize, label, and transport to Carson. Ryan hasn't helped pack a single one. "You're really doing this." His voice startles me as I fold another sweater. He's leaning against the door frame, arms crossed, watching me with that new distance in his eyes. "We talked about this." I keep folding, trying to ignore how my hands shake slightly. "The movers come Thursday." "Right, Thursday." He pushes off the doorframe, walks to the window. "Claire invited us for dinner tonight. Sort of a going away thing." The pause before going away carries weight I'm not ready to examine. That's nice of her. Unless you're too busy packing. There it is. That edge in his voice that's become sharper lately. I set down the sweater. "No, dinner would be good. We should go." Claire's house smells like rosemary and unspoken words when we arrive. She hugs me tight, too tight, and whispers, "I made your favorite." But her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Ryan gravitates to the kitchen, where he and Claire fall into their familiar rhythm of cooking together. I watch from the doorway as they move around each other, with the easy grace of siblings who grew up sharing spaces. They don't need words to communicate, a trait that used to charm me but now feels excluding. "He'll be fine, you know," Claire says later, when Ryan stepped out to take a work call. "I'll keep an eye on him." "I'm not abandoning him." The words come out sharper than intended. "It's 6 months." Claire takes a slow sip of wine. 6 months is a long time to be alone. He's not alone. He has you, his friends, his work. That's not what I meant. She sets down her glass with deliberate care. Marriage isn't just about existing in the same space. It's about choosing each other, every day. I am choosing him, I snap. I'm choosing our future. Are you? Her voice is gentle, which somehow makes it worse. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're choosing yourself. Ryan returns before I can respond, but Claire's words burrow under my skin like splinters. Through dinner, I watch him laugh at his sister's jokes, animated in a way he hasn't been with me in weeks. When did we start speaking different languages? Later that night, lying in bed, Ryan rolls toward me. I've been thinking, he says to the darkness. Maybe I could look for work in Carson. Not right away, but eventually. My heart clenches. It's the first time he's suggested following me, but something in his tone sounds more like surrender than support. Your whole client base is here, I remind him. Your sister, your friends. Yeah. He rolls away again. Just a thought. The silence stretches between us like a chasm. I want to reach across it, but I'm afraid of what I might find. Or worse, what I might not find. My phone buzzes. It's Simon. Board approved the transfer package. You're all set for Monday. I stare at the message until the screen dims, then goes dark. In the reflection, I catch a glimpse of Ryan's back, rigid with consciousness. He's not sleeping either. Ryan? I whisper. Are we okay? The pause before his answer feels endless. Of course we are. But his voice has that same hollow quality from before, like he's reading from a script he doesn't believe in anymore. I lie there, listening to him pretend to sleep, and wonder if this is how cracks start. Not with dramatic breaks, but with small silences that grow deeper day by day. Claire's words echo in my head. 6 months is a long time to be alone. But I'm starting to think maybe we're already alone, lying here together in the dark, each of us guarding secrets we're not ready to share. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a small voice whispers that maybe this distance isn't just about Carson anymore. Maybe it never was. Carson feels like exile. The office is a converted warehouse with flickering fluorescent lights and the constant hum of ancient heating ducts. My team, if you can call them that, greet my morning presentations with crossed arms and barely concealed eye rolls. These implementation timelines are unrealistic, Dave, my senior developer, announces during our third meeting. Maybe things worked differently back at headquarters, but here in the real world is exactly where we're losing market share, I cut in, my voice sharp enough to slice through his condescension. Unless you'd prefer to explain our numbers to corporate? The silence that follows tastes like victory, but it's hollow. Later, I catch snippets of conversation in the break room. Corporate princess and temporary assignment, spoken like curses. My phone buzzes. Ryan's weekly check-in call. I've started dreading these conversations, each one feeling more like a performance than a connection. Hey. His voice sounds distant, distracted. Bad time? No, just finished a meeting. I close my office door, shutting out the hostile glances. How are you? Good. Busy. Claire's been helping me reorganize the house. Says it's good therapy or something. My stomach tightens. Reorganize? Yeah, you know, making space, moving things around. A pause. It feels different here without all your stuff. The way he says it, casual, almost relieved, makes something crack inside me. Ryan, Sorry, got another call coming in. Client emergency. Talk next week? He hangs up before I can respond. I stare at my phone, wondering when exactly we became strangers who share a last name. That evening, I work late, reviewing project timelines until my eyes burn. My mother's number flashes on my screen. I consider ignoring it, but guilt wins out. Sweetheart, she starts, and I can already hear the judgment creeping in. Claire mentioned she had dinner with Ryan last night. Again. They're siblings, Mom. They're awfully close these days. A wife should be concerned when... A wife should trust her husband. I snap, even as doubt gnaws at my certainty. Trust needs nurturing, Athena. It needs presence. After we hang up, I pull up our home security app, something I've been doing more frequently lately. The living room camera shows Claire and Ryan on the couch, takeout containers spread between them. They're laughing at something I can't hear, and the intimacy of the scene makes my chest ache. My phone pings with an email from Simon. Board meeting tomorrow. Numbers aren't improving fast enough. Need solutions. I close the security app, but not before I see Claire rest her hand on Ryan's arm, her expression full of something that looks too much like pity. The next morning, I arrive early to find my team huddled around Dave's desk, their conversation stopping abruptly when they spot me. On my desk is a printed email, an internal memo I wasn't copied on, discussing contingency plans for leadership transitions at the Carson branch. Looking for something? Dave asks from my doorway, his smile not reaching his eyes. Just admiring your dedication to printing confidential emails, I reply, holding up the paper. Interesting reading material. He shrugs, unrepentant. Thought you should know where things stand, being temporary and all. I stand slowly, squaring my shoulders. Let me be clear, Dave. I didn't come here to make friends or validate your ego. I came here to fix this branch, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. With or without your cooperation. His face darkens, but before he can respond, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Claire. We need to talk about Ryan. My hand tightens on the phone as Dave watches, waiting for me to crack. I delete the message without responding. Meeting in 10 minutes, I tell him, my voice steady despite the chaos churning inside. Bring those realistic timelines you're so fond of discussing. As he leaves, I catch my reflection in the window. Poised, professional, perfect. But underneath, something is shifting, hardening. I'm tired of being the one who bends, who compromises, who pretends not to see the cracks forming in every aspect of my life. Maybe it's time to stop playing nice. Maybe it's time to show them all exactly what this corporate princess can do when pushed too far. I'm reviewing security footage again when I notice it. Ryan started going to the community center 3 times a week, always at the same time, always dressed more carefully than usual. The camera catches him checking his reflection in the hallway mirror before leaving, a gesture so unfamiliar it makes my stomach clench. Claire's message still sits unanswered in my phone. Whatever she needs to tell me about Ryan, I'm not sure I want to hear it. My office phone rings. It's Simon. The board wants an update presentation next week, in person. I'll be there. Make it good, Athena. There's talk about restructuring the Carson branch completely. I hang up and pull up the home security app again, but this time something's different. The cameras are offline. All of them. I call Ryan. It goes to voicemail. I text, "Security system's down. Can you check it?" His response comes hours later. "Sorry, must have unplugged something while cleaning." Cleaning, right. Ryan, who once left dishes in the sink for 3 days, is suddenly Marie Kondo. That night, I drive the 3 hours home without warning him. The house is dark when I arrive, but Ryan's car is in the driveway. I use my key, moving quietly through our home that doesn't quite feel like mine anymore. There's music coming from the basement, our home gym that Ryan rarely used before. I pause at the top of the stairs, hearing laughter. A woman's voice, light and unfamiliar, drifts up. "Your form is perfect," she says. "You're a natural." "I have a good teacher," Ryan responds, his voice warm in a way I haven't heard in months. I should go down, should confront whatever's happening in my basement. Instead, I retreat silently, drive to a hotel, and spend the night staring at the ceiling, calculating exactly how many lies it takes to destroy a marriage. The next morning, I do what any self-respecting woman would do. I investigate. The community center's website lists their classes. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, mindful movement yoga with Lila Thompson. I scroll through Lila's social media. She's younger than me, with the kind of effortless beauty that makes women like me buy expensive creams and hate ourselves anyway. Her latest post shows her demonstrating a complicated pose, caption reading, "Finding balance in unexpected places." Blessed. The comments section is full of praise, including one from a profile I recognize. Ryan's. "Thanks for showing me the way." My phone buzzes. Claire again. "Please call me. It's important." I block her number. At work, I channel everything into the presentation. Dave watches me with growing unease as I dismantle his excuses, restructure teams, and push through changes with the kind of ruthless efficiency that comes from having nothing left to lose. "You're different lately," he comments after a particularly brutal meeting. Maybe I'm just done pretending. That evening, I call Ryan. He answers on the fourth ring, slightly out of breath. "Hey, everything okay?" "Just checking in. How's the cleaning going?" "Good. Yeah, really good. Actually, I'm kind of in the middle of something. Yoga, maybe?" The silence stretches for 3 heartbeats. "What?" "Nothing. Just noticed you've been spending a lot of time at the community center, finding balance in unexpected places." Athena. "The security cameras are still down, by the way. Funny how that happened right around the time you started getting so flexible. It's not what you think." But his voice has that guilty edge I've learned to recognize. "Isn't it? Tell me, Ryan, does Lila know you're married, or is that something else you're being flexible about?" He starts to respond, but I hang up. My hands are steady as I pull up my email and book a flight home for next week. Then I open my contact list and scroll to Henry Thompson, prominent local businessman, and more importantly, Lila's father. Sometimes revenge doesn't need to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it just needs to be precise. I send a short email. "Mr. Thompson, I believe we need to discuss a matter concerning your daughter and my husband. Would you be available for coffee next week?" The response comes within minutes. Name the time and place. The cafe where I meet Henry Thompson smells like expensive coffee and old money. He's already seated when I arrive, his tailored suit and carefully neutral expression speaking volumes about power and privilege. "Mrs. Mitchell." He stands, offering his hand. "I must admit, your email intrigued me." "It's still Carter professionally," I correct him, accepting both the handshake and the subtle power play. "I kept my name." "Of course." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Though I understand you're rarely home these days to discuss such matters with your husband." The barb lands, but I don't flinch. Instead, I pull out my phone and slide it across the table, security footage playing silently. Ryan and Lila entering our house. The timestamps tell their own story. Henry's face hardens as he watches. "I see. Do you? Because I'm wondering if your daughter sees the whole picture." He sits back, studying me. "What exactly are you hoping to achieve here, Mrs. Carter?" "Clarity." I meet his gaze steadily. "Your daughter is involved with a married man, my husband. I thought you should know before it affects both our families' reputations." "How considerate." His voice drips sarcasm. "And the fact that my company recently signed a major contract with Ryan's firm has nothing to do with your concern?" My phone buzzes. Claire again, this time from a different number. I silence it without looking away from Henry. "I'm simply providing information. What you do with it is your choice." Later that evening, my mother calls. "Claire's been trying to reach you," she says without preamble. "She says it's important." I'm sure it is. I'm reviewing the board presentation, making notes with mechanical precision. Did she tell you what Ryan's been up to while I'm away? Athena. Her voice softens with pity. Sometimes when we push people away, don't. The word comes out sharp enough to cut. Don't you dare make this my fault. I'm not, but revenge won't fix what's broken. I laugh, the sound hollow even to my own ears. Who says I want to fix it? After hanging up, I check my email. Henry's already acted. There's a company-wide announcement about a restructuring of vendor relationships. Ryan's firm is notably absent from the new approved list. My phone lights up with Ryan's call. I let it ring. Instead, I pull up the security app again. The cameras are back online. Ryan must think I've forgotten about them. I watch as he paces our living room, phone to his ear. Even without sound, I can read the tension in his movements. Lila appears in frame, reaching for him. He jerks away, gesturing angrily. She covers her face with her hands. They argue silently on my screen, like actors in a play I'm directing from afar. A new email pops up, from Simon. Board presentation moved up. Tomorrow morning. Be ready. I close the security app, but not before I see Claire enter the frame, placing herself between Ryan and Lila. Always the mediator, my sister-in-law. Always trying to fix what's already shattered. My phone buzzes again. A text from an unknown number. You don't understand. It's not what you think. Please let me explain. Leela. I save the number. It might be useful later. The presentation documents blur before my eyes as another text arrives, this time from Claire. You're making a terrible mistake. There's something you need to know about Lila. I block this number too, but her words echo in my head. What don't I understand? What mistake am I making? For a moment, doubt creeps in. Then I remember Ryan's laughter in our basement, Lila's voice floating up the stairs, the casual intimacy of their betrayal. I open my laptop and begin typing an email to Henry, attaching more security footage. Each click of the keyboard feels like another nail in the coffin of my marriage, but I keep typing anyway. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying everything at once. Sometimes it's about watching it all unravel, thread by careful thread, until there's nothing left but the truth. And tomorrow, after the board presentation, I'll finally go home to face that truth in person. The board presentation goes perfectly. Too perfectly. Simon's approving nod, the impressed murmurs from the executives. It all feels hollow, like watching a play where I know the ending but keep pretending anyway. I drive home without calling ahead. The sun is setting when I pull into our driveway, casting long shadows across the familiar landscape of my former life. Ryan's car is there, along with another I don't recognize. Sleek, expensive, clearly new. The front door is unlocked. Music drifts from the kitchen, along with the smell of cooking and the sound of laughter. I move silently through my own house, a ghost in comfortable shoes. They don't notice me at first. Ryan's at the stove, Lila perched on our counter, my counter, wearing one of his old t-shirts. She's showing him something on her phone, both of them smiling at whatever's on the screen. Cozy. My voice cuts through their bubble like a blade. They jump apart. Ryan's face drains of color. Athena? Don't stop on my account. I lean against the doorframe, surprising myself with how steady I feel. You seem right at home. Lila slides off the counter, her eyes wide. I should go. Why? You're already wearing his clothes. Might as well stay for dinner. This isn't... Ryan steps forward, hands raised like he's approaching a wild animal. Let me explain. Explain what? How you've been fucking your yoga instructor in our house? Or how you got Henry Thompson to pull his contracts? Lila's head snaps up. You talked to my father. Someone had to tell him the truth. I smile, all teeth. Since neither of you seemed interested in that particular concept. You don't understand, Lila starts, but Ryan cuts her off. Don't, please. He turns to me, his face a mask of guilt and something else. Relief? I was going to tell you. When? After the divorce, or after you moved her into our bedroom? There was never going to be a divorce. It's Lila who speaks, her voice stronger now. That wasn't the plan. The word plan hits me like a physical blow. I look between them, seeing something I missed before, the way they're standing, not like guilty lovers but like conspirators. What plan? The front door opens. Claire walks in, freezing when she sees us. Oh God! Athena, wait! But I'm already moving, pushing past her to the study. The drawer where we keep our important papers is slightly ajar. I yank it open, rifling through documents until I find what I'm looking for. Our investment portfolio. Empty. I can explain, Ryan says from the doorway. Everything was falling apart at work. After Henry pulled the contracts. So you emptied our accounts? My voice sounds distant, like it belongs to someone else. And her? Was she part of your financial recovery plan? She's Henry's daughter, he says, as if that explains everything. We thought, if he saw us together, if he believed we were serious. The laugh that escapes me doesn't sound human. You used me leaving as cover. All those yoga classes, all those late nights, you were orchestrating your own scandal to manipulate her father. I tried to tell you, Claire interjects, about the company's troubles, about Ryan's plan. Shut up. I turn to Lila, who at least has the decency to look ashamed. Did Daddy's money make it worth it? Playing the other woman to save Ryan's career? It wasn't like that, she whispers. Not at first. I walk to the window, staring at the garden I used to tend before ambition called me away. Everything looks different now. The flowers I planted, the paths we laid together, even the sky above our house. Get out. My voice is ice. All of you. Athena, please. Ryan starts. I said get out! I whirl around, grabbing the nearest object, a crystal vase, our wedding gift, and hurling it against the wall. It shatters spectacularly, the sound like everything breaking at once. They leave. I stand in the wreckage of my marriage, my trust, my carefully constructed revenge, and realize I never saw the real betrayal coming. I was so focused on the affair that I missed the conspiracy. My phone buzzes, Simon congratulating me on the presentation, on my promotion, on my future. I delete it without responding. Some victories taste like ash. I spend 3 days gathering evidence, bank statements, email trails, security footage. Each piece fits together like a puzzle I never wanted to solve. Then I send one text. Dinner, tomorrow, your place. Ryan agrees too quickly. When I arrive, the table is set for 4. Claire and Lila are already there, looking like guilty conspirators at a Last Supper. Ryan's wearing the blue shirt I bought him last Christmas, his hands fidgeting with a wine glass. Family dinner? I set my laptop bag on the counter. How domestic. We need to talk, Ryan starts. About everything. Yes, let's talk. I open my laptop, turning it to face them. Let's talk about the offshore account you opened 3 months ago. Or the emails between you and Henry Thompson dating back to before I left for Carson. Lila's face pales. What emails? The ones where your father agreed to pull his contracts strategically. Create a crisis that would force the company to accept new terms. I scroll through documents. Quite the performance, really. The devoted daughter falling for the desperate businessman. Did you practice your yoga poses between plotting sessions? It wasn't supposed to go this far, Claire interjects. Ryan just needed leverage. And you? I turn to her. Was being his lookout part of the original plan? Or did that come later? I was protecting him. From what? His wife? Or his conscience? Ryan steps forward. The company was dying. Henry Thompson had us in a chokehold. I had to do something. So you orchestrated an affair with his daughter? The laugh that escapes me sounds foreign. Used our marriage as collateral? It started as a plan, Lila says quietly. But things changed. Save it. I pull out my phone, pressing play on a recording. Henry Thompson's voice fills the room. The merger goes through next week. Once Ryan's company is absorbed, the board will need new leadership. Ryan lunges for the phone. I snatch it back, letting him see the screen, the message already forwarded to his entire board of directors. You didn't, he whispers. Didn't what? Expose your manipulation? Your fraud? I turn to Lila. The fact that you helped destroy your father's reputation for a man who was using you? That's not... She stops, looking at Ryan. Something shifts in her expression. Is it? The silence that follows is answer enough. I saved everything. I continue, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. Every message, every transaction, every carefully orchestrated coincidence. The board has it all now. So does the SEC. You've destroyed everything, Ryan says, but there's more fear than anger in his voice. No, you did that. I just made sure everyone could see the ruins. Claire stands suddenly. There are things you don't know, Athena, about why we had to... Had to? I cut her off. Had to empty our accounts? Had to use me as cover for your brother's schemes? Had to watch him manipulate a woman's feelings for financial gain? I loved her, Ryan protests, but even Lila flinches at the past tense. You loved what she represented. Access, opportunity, a way out of the mess you created. I close my laptop. But you forgot something crucial. What's that? His voice is barely a whisper. I learned manipulation from the best. I head for the door, then pause. Oh, and Ryan? Check your email. The divorce papers are there, along with a detailed account of your financial misconduct. I'd sign quickly if I were you. Things tend to get complicated once federal investigations begin. You wouldn't, Claire starts, but stops when she sees my expression. I already did. I look at each of them, my husband, his sister, his accomplice. The difference between your revenge and mine? I didn't need to pretend it was love. I leave them there, surrounded by the wreckage of their carefully constructed plans. My phone buzzes with messages, from the board, from Henry Thompson, from my lawyer. I ignore them all. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying everything. Sometimes it's about revealing the truth and letting it do the destroying for you. The headlines splash across my tablet screen during my morning coffee. Tech merger scandal rocks business community. Ryan's company's stock has plummeted. The SEC investigation is ongoing. Henry Thompson has stepped down as CEO. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Can we meet? Lila. I consider ignoring it, but curiosity wins. We meet at a small cafe across town, far from the yoga studio, far from my old life. She looks different, sharper somehow, like betrayal has carved away her softness. I didn't know, she says without preamble. About any of it. The merger, the manipulation, how he used both of us. Would it have mattered if you did? She stirs her untouched coffee. I thought I was helping him heal from losing you. Ironic, right? He never lost me. He gambled me. And now he's lost everything. She meets my eyes. Was it worth it? The revenge? I consider the question as Simon's latest email burns in my inbox. My promotion to executive vice president, the first woman to hold the position. Ask me when the SEC finishes their investigation. My father wants to make a deal, to save what's left of both companies. That's not my concern anymore. No, she agrees, but you might be interested in what I found in Ryan's emails. Things even you missed. She slides a USB drive across the table. I don't take it. Why are you really here, Lila? Because you and I? We're more alike than different. We both believed in something that wasn't real. She stands, leaving the drive. The difference is, you did something about it. At home, curiosity again proves stronger than caution. The drive contains emails dating back years, Ryan's slow descent into financial manipulation, Claire's growing involvement, plans within plans. But it's the most recent ones that stop me cold. Messages between Ryan and Claire, discussing contingency plans that would have left me taking the fall if their scheme had succeeded. My phone rings. It's my mother. "I saw the news," she says. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." And surprisingly, I am. "Claire came to see me. She wanted me to convince you to drop the charges." "Of course she did." "I told her my daughter doesn't need convincing of anything." A pause. "I'm proud of you, Athena." The words hit harder than expected. For destroying my marriage? For refusing to be destroyed by it. After we hang up, I pour a glass of wine and open my laptop. There's an email from Ryan's lawyer, another from the SEC investigators, and one from Simon about my upcoming board presentation. But it's Lila's words that echo. We're more alike than different. I start typing an email to Henry Thompson. Not about deals or mergers or revenge, but about truth, his daughter's, mine, all of it. Some things deserve to be dragged into the light, even if the truth burns everyone involved. My doorbell rings. It's Claire, looking haunted. "You haven't seen the whole picture," she starts. "Actually," I hold up the USB drive. "I think I finally have." She pales. "Athena." "Save it for the investigators." I close the door, but not before adding, "And Claire? Tell Ryan the next time he plans to frame his wife for corporate fraud, he should probably use a better password than our wedding date." Later, I sit in my garden, the one I'd neglected for ambition, the one Ryan used for his secret meetings, and watch the sunset. My phone lights up with a message from Lila. "Thank you for copying my father on that email. Some truths need witnesses." I don't respond, but I save her number. Sometimes the strongest alliances rise from shared wreckage. The garden needs work, weeds to pull, flowers to replant, new seeds to sow. But this time, I'll grow something different, something stronger, something that doesn't need anyone else's validation to bloom. I open my laptop and begin typing my statement for the board. The first line reads, "Success isn't about climbing higher, it's about standing firmer." Behind me, the sun sets on my old life, and I don't look back to watch it fade.
The divorce papers sat on the kitchen counter like a loaded gun. Next to them, Caleb's handwriting mocked me from a pale yellow post-it note. "I need solitude to find myself. Don't try to contact me. I'm sorry." 15 years of marriage reduced to 23 words. I picked up the note, crumpled it, then smoothed it out again. The words hadn't changed. My hands trembled as I reached for my phone, muscle memory taking over as I dialed his number. "The number you have reached is no longer in service." Of course. He'd thought of everything. I grabbed the bottle of Cabernet we'd been saving for our anniversary next month, uncorked it, and poured myself a generous glass. The rich liquid caught the afternoon light streaming through my kitchen window. Our wedding photo still hung on the wall, his academic regalia making him look distinguished, important. Professor Caleb Thompson, beloved educator, devoted husband. What a crock of shit. My phone buzzed. Natalie's name flashed on the screen. "You're late for drinks," she said. "Everything okay?" He left. The words felt foreign in my mouth. Caleb left. What? "I'm coming over." "No, I'll come to you. I need to get out of this house." 20 minutes later, I walked into O'Malley's. Natalie waved from our usual corner booth, her face etched with concern. I dropped into the seat across from her, sliding the divorce papers onto the sticky table. Jesus Christ, she whispered, flipping through the pages. No warning. Nothing. Just a post-it note. Like I'm a reminder on his fucking calendar. The waitress appeared. Your usual, Vera. Double tonight, Rosa. Actually, make it 2 doubles. Rosa's eyes darted between me and the papers on the table. Coming right up, honey. Natalie reached across and squeezed my hand. What are you going to do? Sign them, I guess. What choice do I have? I pulled my hand away, needing the distance. 15 years, Nat. 15 years and he couldn't even say goodbye to my face. There has to be more to this. People don't just. Apparently, they do. I caught Rosa's eye and mouthed, "Thank you," as she set down our drinks. You know what the worst part is? I keep thinking about last week, when he insisted on making dinner. He seemed so normal. Happy, even. Was he planning this the whole time? Just going through the motions? Maybe he's having some kind of breakdown. Remember when Jeff's brother suddenly joined that commune in Oregon? This is different. I took a long sip of whiskey, letting it burn. Caleb's too calculated for that. Too controlled. This isn't impulsive, he planned this. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Vera Thompson? A young woman's voice, hesitant but determined. Yes, who's this? My name is Jasmine. I used to be one of your husband's students. We need to talk. It's important. Something in her tone made my stomach clench. About what? Not over the phone. Could we meet somewhere? Tomorrow maybe. I looked at Natalie, who was watching me with raised eyebrows. Tomorrow at noon. There's a coffee shop called Bean there on 5th Street. I know it. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. And I'm sorry. The line went dead. Who was that? Natalie asked. One of Caleb's former students. I drained my glass. She says we need to talk. About what? I don't know. I stared at the divorce papers, at his precise signature at the bottom. But I have a feeling I'm about to find out why my husband really left. Rosa appeared with fresh drinks, her dark eyes full of sympathy. On the house, honey. You look like you need it. I didn't argue. Tomorrow would bring answers, but tonight? Tonight I would let myself fall apart, surrounded by the only 2 people who hadn't abandoned me yet. The hangover hit me like a sledgehammer as I walked into the dental clinic. Rosa's eyes followed me from behind the reception desk, her usual morning snark replaced by something softer. Pity. God, I hated pity. Dr. Matthews wants to see you in his office, she said quietly. Before your first patient. Perfect. Just what I needed before meeting Jasmine at noon, a lecture from my boss about keeping my personal life from affecting my work. As if I had any control over that now. I found him reviewing charts, his reading glasses perched on the edge of his nose. Vera, close the door, please. If this is about yesterday. Caleb called. He removed his glasses, polishing them with his tie. He's requested a leave of absence from the university. Indefinite. He mentioned your situation. My stomach lurched. Of course he'd called my boss before me. Damage control. Always the professor, always 3 steps ahead. I appreciate your concern, Dr. Matthews, but take the week off. Paid leave. Sort things out. I'd rather work. He sighed, that paternal look I'd always hated creeping across his face. The university board is meeting today. There are rumors, Vera. About Caleb. About certain improprieties. The room tilted slightly. What kind of improprieties? Nothing concrete. But given your position here, and our connection to the university's dental program. He spread his hands. Take the week. Please. I walked out in a daze, barely registering Rosa's concerned look as I gathered my things. My phone buzzed. Natalie. You okay? She asked. After last night. Matthews just put me on leave. Apparently, there are rumors about Caleb at the university. A pause. What kind of rumors? I don't know. But I'm meeting his former student in 2 hours. Want to bet they're connected? Want backup? No. I need to do this alone. Being there was quiet when I arrived, just a few students hunched over laptops. I ordered coffee and claimed a corner table, watching the door. At exactly noon, she walked in. Jasmine was younger than I'd expected. Pretty, in that fresh-faced way that made me feel ancient. She clutched her bag like a shield as she approached. Mrs. Thompson. Her voice trembled slightly. Thank you for meeting me. It's just Vera now. Sit. She perched on the edge of her chair, fingers twisting the strap of her bag. I don't know where to start. How about with why my husband left? He found out we were going to come forward. All of us. Ice spread through my chest. All of who? The girls. The ones he. She swallowed hard. It started my sophomore year. He was my advisor. He said I had potential, that he could help my career. Then came the private meetings, the late-night emails, the suggestions that certain arrangements could help my grades. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. How many? 7 that I know of. Maybe more. She reached into her bag, pulled out a manila envelope. We have proof. Emails, texts, photos. We were going to take it to the board today, but he must have found out somehow. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Screenshots of messages, each more damning than the last. Photos of Caleb with different young women, his hand always somewhere it shouldn't be. Dates spanning years. Years we were married. Why are you showing me this? Because you deserve to know the truth. And because we need your help. She leaned forward, voice dropping. He's not just hiding, Mrs. Thompson. He's starting over. Building something new. Something dangerous. What do you mean? He's gathering followers. Vulnerable students, mostly. Calling it a spiritual retreat or something. But it's just another way to control people. She pulled out her phone, showed me a website. See? He's already got dozens of people believing his enlightenment bullshit. I stared at the screen, at Caleb's serene smile below the header, finding truth through solitude, a journey of self-discovery. Son of a bitch, I whispered. We can stop him. But we need someone he won't expect. Someone who knows him better than anyone. Her eyes met mine. Will you help us? I thought about the post-it note, about 15 years of lies. About 7 young women whose lives he tried to destroy. Yes, I said. I'll help you destroy him. The other women gathered in Natalie's living room, their faces a gallery of shared trauma. 6 besides Jasmine, just like she'd said. Young, bright, broken. Each clutching their own manila envelope of evidence against my husband. He always chose the quiet ones, Sarah, a grad student, explained. The ones who needed recommendations, who couldn't afford to lose their scholarships. I paced behind Natalie's couch, the weight of their stories pressing against my chest. And none of you went to the administration. 2 did, Jasmine said. Remember Angela Martinez? The name hit like a slap. The student who had a mental breakdown last year. She tried to report him. Next thing we knew, she was accused of plagiarism. Lost her scholarship, her graduate position, everything. My hands shook as I poured more wine. And the other one? Me, a redhead, Rachel, whispered. He had photos. Said he'd release them if I didn't withdraw my complaint. The doorbell rang. Natalie answered it, returning with Eli. His police uniform was wrinkled, his face tight with concern. Our eyes met across the room, and something in his expression made my stomach drop. We need to talk, he said quietly. Alone. In Natalie's kitchen, he pulled out his phone. Remember that wellness check you asked me to run on Caleb's retreat location? What about it? It's not just a retreat. He showed me a police report. 3 women have gone missing in that area in the past month. All former students. Jesus Christ. The room spun slightly. You think he's... I think he's escalating. The university board meeting spooked him. He's gathering followers, yes, but he's also targeting specific women. Women who could expose him. A text buzzed on my phone. Unknown number. I know what you're planning, Vera. Stop now, or Angela won't be the only cautionary tale. I showed Eli the message. His jaw tightened. He's watching us, I said. Let him. Eli's voice was steel. We can use that. Back in the living room, the women fell silent, watching us. Their fear was palpable, a living thing that filled the room. Change of plans, I announced. We're not just exposing him. We're taking him down. Tonight. Jasmine stood. What do you mean? He's threatening you all through me. But he's made a mistake. I held up my phone. He's given us proof of witness intimidation. And with 7 testimonies, plus evidence. 8, a quiet voice said from the doorway. We turned. Rosa stood there, clutching her own manila envelope. Rosa? My voice cracked. You? 15 years ago. When he was just starting at the university. She stepped forward, shoulders straight. I was his teaching assistant. He destroyed my career before it began. Made sure I'd never teach. The pieces clicked. Rosa's bitterness, her protectiveness of young female patients, her sharp edges. That's why you've always watched out for the interns, I whispered. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I couldn't stop him then. But I can help stop him now. My phone buzzed again. Another text. Last warning, Vera. Walk away, or watch them all burn. I looked around the room, at these women who'd carried their pain in silence for so long. At Rosa, who'd been protecting others while hiding her own scars. At Eli, whose face promised justice. He wants us afraid, I said. Isolated. But together. Together we're stronger than his threats. What's the plan? Sarah asked. I smiled, a cold thing that felt foreign on my face. We give him exactly what he wants, me, alone, coming to beg forgiveness. Except I won't be alone. And there won't be any forgiveness. Eli touched my arm. Vera. No. He thinks he knows me, the quiet, supportive wife. The one who'll keep his secrets. I met each woman's eyes in turn. Let's show him how wrong he is. My phone buzzed one final time. I didn't need to look to know it was him, trying to maintain control. But control, like everything else, was about to slip through his fingers. Ladies, I said, let's go destroy my husband. Eli spread the surveillance photos across his kitchen table while Lucas napped in the next room. The retreat compound sprawled across 20 acres of woodland, a collection of cabins surrounding a main lodge. In every image, Young women moved between buildings like sleepwalkers, their faces vacant. They're not prisoners, Eli said, at least not technically. They're there voluntarily. Brainwashed, I corrected, studying a photo of Caleb leading what appeared to be a meditation session. How many? 23 residents. All women, all under 30. He hesitated. And Angela Martinez is there. My head snapped up. The student who tried to report him. She's alive. Barely functioning, according to our informant. He's got them all on some strict regimen, meditation, fasting, isolation periods. Classic cult tactics. A soft cry came from Lucas's room. Eli moved to get up, but I touched his arm. I'll go. In the dim nursery, Lucas reached for me from his crib, tear-streaked face breaking my heart. I lifted him, breathing in his baby sweet scent, remembering how Caleb had reacted when I'd suggested having children. Too much responsibility, he'd said. We need to focus on my career. Now I understood why. My phone vibrated, a text from Greg, Caleb's former mentor, need to talk. Urgent. Meet me at the university library. Eli, I called softly. Can you watch Lucas? Something's come up. Greg waited in the rare books section, looking older than I remembered. His hands trembled as he pulled out a leather-bound journal. I found this in my office, he said. It's from 1997, when Caleb was my graduate assistant. I opened it. Pages of neat handwriting detailed research subjects, female students, their vulnerabilities, their pressure points. Rosa's name appeared early on. He was perfecting his technique, I whispered. Even then. I should have seen it. Greg's voice cracked. But he was brilliant, charismatic. I thought. He stopped abruptly, eyes fixing on something behind me. I turned. A campus security guard stood there, radio in hand. Professor Thompson, he said. You're in violation of the restraining order. What restraining order? The one your husband filed this morning. You need to come with me. Greg stepped forward. There must be some mistake. It's okay, I said, clutching the journal. Call Eli. Tell him what happened. At the campus police station, Officer Chen slid a document across her desk. The restraining order cited erratic behavior and threatening communications. Attached were screenshots of texts I'd never sent. Emails I'd never written. He fabricated these, I said. Maybe so, Chen replied, but until a judge says otherwise, you can't come within 500 feet of him or the retreat property. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Checkmate, darling. Did you really think I wouldn't be prepared? See. Another buzz. A photo appeared, Lucas's empty crib, taken minutes ago. My blood froze. I need to make a call. In the hallway, I dialed Eli with shaking fingers. No answer. Then Natalie. Nothing. A final text from Caleb, you have a choice, Vera. Drop everything, the accusations, the evidence, all of it, or you'll never see our godson again. You have 1 hour. I stared at the words until they blurred. Caleb had always been 3 steps ahead, always calculating. But he'd made one crucial mistake. Lucas wasn't just my godson. He was my reason for ensuring Caleb could never hurt anyone again. I dialed Rosa's number. It's happening, I said when she answered. Plan B. Call the others. And Rosa. Make sure Sarah brings those files from the university's security system. What about Lucas? I thought of those vacant-faced women in the surveillance photos. Of Angela Martinez, trapped in Caleb's web. Of Rosa, carrying her scars for 15 years. He thinks he's taking everything from me, I said. Let's show him what it really means to lose everything. I hung up and walked back to Officer Chen's desk, forcing my voice to stay steady. I'd like to report a kidnapping. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. The retreat's main lodge loomed before me, all rustic wood and false serenity. 2 of Caleb's followers, seekers, he called them, flanked me as I climbed the steps. Their grip on my arms was gentle but firm, a perfect metaphor for his whole operation. "Sister Vera," one murmured, "he's waiting in the meditation room." Of course he was. Everything choreographed, just like always. Through the windows, I caught glimpses of women in white linen, moving like ghosts between buildings. Angela Martinez sat cross-legged in the garden, staring at nothing. My hand tightened around Greg's journal in my pocket. The meditation room door opened. Caleb stood there, backlit like some cut-rate messiah. "Darling," he said, spreading his arms. "Welcome home. Where's Lucas?" "Safe. With Natalie." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "She's quite receptive to our teachings, actually. Amazing what a few carefully chosen words can accomplish." The implications hit like a punch. Natalie wasn't answering calls because she was here, under his influence. Just like Angela. Just like all of them. "Your choice," he prompted. "I want to see Lucas first. After you surrender the evidence." "All of it." A commotion outside drew his attention. Through the window, I saw Greg stumbling up the path, looking desperate. "Right on schedule. What's he doing here?" Caleb's mask slipped slightly. "Probably looking for his journal." I pulled it from my pocket. Interesting reading. Very methodical. His eyes narrowed. "Give it to me. Everything you've built here, it's just a larger version of what you did to Rosa, isn't it? Find the vulnerable ones, isolate them, make them dependent. I'm helping them find purpose. Like you helped Angela find purpose." Something dark flashed across his face. She was unstable. They all were, until I showed them the path. The path to what? Being your personal cult. Watch your tone. His voice dropped dangerously. "Remember who has the power here." A woman's scream pierced the air. We both turned. In the garden, Rosa stood over Angela's crumpled form. "Help!" Rosa shouted. "She's not breathing." Caleb moved toward the door. I blocked his path. "Your choice," I echoed his words. "Let me see Lucas, or I start making phone calls. The police are already watching this place. One word from me. You're bluffing. Try me." More commotion outside. Greg had reached the garden, was kneeling beside Angela. Other women gathered, their programmed serenity cracking. "Tick-tock," I said. Caleb's jaw clenched. "Follow me." He led me to a cabin at the compound's edge. Inside, Natalie sat with Lucas, her eyes glazed but clearing slightly at my entrance. "Vera?" She blinked rapidly. "What's happening?" "It's okay," I said, not taking my eyes off Caleb. "Everything's going to be okay." Lucas reached for me. I took him, breathing in his familiar scent. "Now the evidence," Caleb demanded. I smiled. "Check your phone." He pulled it out, face darkening as messages flooded in. Every woman he'd ever manipulated, every piece of evidence we'd gathered, being sent to the university board, the police, the media. All time-stamped for automatic release unless I entered a code every hour. "You can't." "I already did." I backed toward the door with Lucas. "Angela's fine, by the way. Just a little acting from Rosa." "But the police response time to a medical emergency?" "About 3 minutes." Sirens wailed in the distance. You're just like them, he snarled. Weak, needing guidance. No, Caleb. I'm exactly what you made me, someone who learned to play the long game. His followers were emerging from their trances now, watching through windows as police cars appeared on the horizon. Natalie, I called softly. Time to go home. She stood shakily, moving toward us as Caleb's carefully constructed world began to crumble around him. This isn't over, he warned. You're right. I shifted Lucas to my hip. It's just beginning. The first police car crested the hill as we walked away, leaving Caleb to face the storm he'd created, one calculated manipulation at a time. The interrogation room's fluorescent lights made everything look sickly, unreal. Detective Martinez, no relation to Angela, placed a stack of photos in front of me. Crime scene images from the retreat. 3 bodies, he said flatly. Found buried behind the meditation cabin. All former students. My stomach lurched. That's impossible. We were watching him. For 6 weeks. These deaths date back 2 years. He slid forward another photo, Caleb being led away in handcuffs, that serene smile still on his face. Your husband's looking at multiple homicide charges. And you? You're looking at obstruction of justice. I was trying to help those women. By running a vigilante operation. By interfering with an ongoing investigation. He leaned forward. We've been building this case for months. Your little revenge scheme nearly destroyed years of work. The door opened. Eli stepped in, still in uniform. His face was carved from stone. They're processing Natalie now, he said quietly. The drugs in her system. She's not doing well. I closed my eyes. Lucas. Safe. With my sister. He wouldn't look at me. The department's reviewing my involvement. I'll probably lose my badge. Eli, I never meant. Save it. His voice cracked slightly. You used me. Used my position to get information. Put our son at risk. He was never in danger. No. He finally met my gaze. You brought a 3-year-old into a compound where women were being murdered. Where your best friend was being drugged. All for what? To prove you weren't as blind as everyone thought. To show Caleb you could play his game. The truth hit like a physical blow. I had become exactly what I was fighting against, someone so focused on control, on winning, that I'd lost sight of the casualties. Detective Martinez cleared his throat. Dr. Matthews called. The dental clinic's board is meeting tomorrow about your license. Of course. My whole life, unraveling thread by thread. I want to see him, I said. Your husband. Not happening. Please. I need to understand. Understand what? Eli's voice was ice. How he manipulated people. Destroyed lives. Look in a mirror, Vera. You're more like him than you think. He walked out, leaving me with the photos of 3 women I'd never known existed. 3 women I might have saved if I'd gone to the police instead of playing detective. My phone buzzed, they hadn't confiscated it yet. A text from Rosa, Angela's talking. Really talking. Says there are more bodies. Another buzz. An email from the university board, announcing a formal investigation into Greg's involvement. His career, destroyed because I'd dragged him into this. The final message was from an unknown number. A video link. With trembling fingers, I opened it. Caleb's face filled the screen, recorded before his arrest. Hello, darling. If you're watching this, everything has gone according to plan. You always were predictable, so desperate to prove yourself, to show everyone you weren't just the quiet, supportive wife. Did you enjoy playing detective? Making your little charts and gathering your evidence? His smile widened. Thank you for finding those bodies for me. I was getting worried they'd never be discovered. And now everyone sees you exactly as I always did, reckless, obsessed, dangerous. Just like me. The video ended. Detective Martinez watched me with a mixture of pity and disgust. We'll need your formal statement, he said. About everything. I stared at the photos of the dead women, at my distorted reflection in the interrogation room window. Caleb was right. I'd become exactly what he wanted, a mirror of his own obsession, his own capacity for destruction. I'll tell you everything, I whispered. About the bodies, the manipulation, all of it. But first, I need you to understand something. What's that? There's one more secret. One he thinks only he knows. I met the detective's eyes. And it's going to destroy him completely. Because Caleb had taught me well, too well. He'd shown me that the best revenge isn't quick or clean. It's patient. Methodical. And most importantly, it's devastating. Just like the truth I'd been saving for exactly this moment. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and despair. Caleb sat across from me, orange jumpsuit stark against his pale skin, that familiar serene smile still in place. Come to gloat, darling. I placed Greg's journal on the table between us. No. I came to return this. His eyes flickered to the leather-bound book. Ah. My early work. Quite amateur, looking back. 3 bodies wasn't amateur. 4, actually. His smile widened slightly. But you knew that already, didn't you? I slid a photograph across the table. A younger Caleb, standing beside a woman with my face, my build, my coloring. My sister, I said quietly. The one who disappeared 15 years ago. The reason I applied to work at your university's dental clinic. The smile faltered, just for a moment. You never wondered why I looked so familiar. My voice remained steady. Why I worked so hard to get your attention. To become exactly the kind of quiet, supportive wife you wanted. Vera. Sarah was her name. But you knew her as Patient Zero in your journal. Your first experiment in control. His hands, always so steady, began to tremble slightly. You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. Sarah kept records too. Hidden where you'd never think to look, in her dental records. X-rays with dates, photos of injuries, detailed notes about her accidents. All safely stored in the university clinic's archive. That's why you became a dental hygienist. 15 years of waiting. Watching. Learning how you operate. I leaned forward. Did you really think I was just another victim, Caleb? That I didn't plan every step, including my own revenge-obsessed spiral? Detective Martinez entered quietly, standing by the door. The FBI's reopening 20 cold cases, I continued. All women who matched Sarah's description, all connected to universities where you taught. And guess what they found in that journal? DNA. Hair samples. Trophies. Caleb's facade cracked. You're lying. You taught me well, how to manipulate, how to play the long game. The difference is, I had a better reason. I stood. The detective has some questions about Sarah. And the others. They'll never believe you, he snarled. You're unstable, obsessed. No, I'm patient. Like you said in your video message, predictable. You just predicted the wrong pattern. His composure shattered completely. He lunged across the table, hands reaching for my throat. Guards rushed in, restraining him as he screamed accusations, threats, confessions. I watched him break, 15 years of careful planning culminating in this moment. Detective Martinez touched my arm. "We got it all on camera," he said softly. "The confession, the assault. It's over." In the hallway, Eli waited with Lucas. His face was softer now, understanding replacing judgment. "You could have told me," he said. "I needed your genuine reactions. Everyone's genuine reactions. It was the only way to make him believe he was winning." Lucas reached for me. I took him, holding him close. "The department cleared you," Eli continued. "And me. They're calling it an unofficial undercover operation." "And Natalie?" "Home from the hospital. Rosa's with her." He hesitated. "She understands why you couldn't warn her." "They all do." I thought of Sarah, of all the women who'd never gotten justice. Of the careful path I'd walked between revenge and redemption. "What happens now?" Eli asked. Through the window, I could see Caleb being led away, his shoulders hunched, his power finally broken. In his journal, he'd written that true control comes from making others see themselves through your eyes. He was right about that. He just never realized he wasn't the only one watching. "Now." I kissed Lucas's forehead. "Now we go home. And we live." Behind us, Caleb's screams echoed down the corridor, but they held no power anymore. Just the impotent rage of a man who'd finally discovered what it meant to be truly, completely controlled. Sarah would have appreciated the irony. The letter arrived on Sarah's birthday. Prison stationery, Caleb's precise handwriting. I carried it unopened to the cemetery, where fresh flowers marked my sister's finally discovered grave. Natalie found me there, sitting cross-legged on the grass. She looked better, clearer, stronger. The retreat's fog had lifted from her eyes. "Rosa said you might be here." She settled beside me. "That his?" I nodded, turning the envelope over in my hands. "You don't have to read it." "I know. But I did. One last move in our long game." The paper crackled as I unfolded it. "Vera. You were right about one thing, I did recognize you. Not at first, but gradually. Something in the way you watched me, calculated every move. Sarah had that same intensity. I wondered when you'd make your move. 15 years of waiting, watching. I should have recognized the patience of a predator rather than prey. You asked me once why I chose you. The truth is, you chose me. You crafted yourself into my perfect match, knowing I couldn't resist. In doing so, you became exactly what you claimed to hate, a manipulator, a destroyer of lives. We're the same now, you and I. Remember that when you're lying awake at night, telling yourself you did it all for justice. See? Natalie touched my hand. You okay? I let the letter fall onto Sarah's grave, watching the wind catch it. He still thinks this was about revenge. Wasn't it? No. I stood, brushing grass from my jeans. It was about stopping him. Sarah was just the beginning, I had to make sure she was the end, too. My phone buzzed. A text from Eli, "Angela's group therapy session went well. She asked about you." Another buzz, "Rosa. Jasmine aced her dental boards. We're celebrating at O'Malley's. Coming. They're healing," Natalie said softly. "All of them. Because of you. Because of themselves." I looked at Sarah's headstone, at the dates that finally told her complete story. I just helped them find their way back. And what about you? Are you healing? The wind picked up, scattering the letter's pieces like confetti. Somewhere across town, Lucas was probably helping Eli make dinner, standing on his little stool to reach the counter. Later, we'd read stories and talk about his day at preschool, normal moments that felt miraculous after everything. I thought catching him would feel like winning, I said. Like some grand victory. But it just feels quiet. Yeah. I touched Sarah's headstone. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm. Speaking of quiet. Natalie hesitated. Greg called. They're releasing his memoir next month. The whole story, how Caleb manipulated him, how he unknowingly enabled everything. Good. People need to understand how it happens. How someone like Caleb finds the cracks in your life and widens them until you fall through. We walked back to our cars, leaving Sarah's grave and Caleb's scattered words behind. The setting sun painted everything in soft gold, making the world look newer than it was. You never told me, Natalie said as we reached the parking lot. That last secret you mentioned to Detective Martinez, the one that would destroy Caleb completely. What was it? I smiled, thinking of Caleb's face in that prison visiting room, of the moment he realized the truth. There was no secret. I just needed him to think there was, to keep him off balance until he confessed. I unlocked my car. His biggest fear was always that someone else held power over him. So I gave him that fear, let it eat away at him until he cracked. Just like he did to others. Just like that. Natalie hugged me goodbye, and I drove home to my family, to the life I'd built while planning Caleb's destruction. He was right about one thing, I had become like him in some ways. I'd learned to manipulate, to calculate, to wait. But he'd missed the crucial difference, I'd done it all so I could stop being like him. So I could finally lay down the weapon of revenge and pick up something lighter, something that felt more like peace. Even if that peace still echoed, sometimes, with the sound of storms.